whatever it gives to security is what it gives back to you. Every day is for the thief, or one day is for the owner. That talks about that the thief is 99 times smarter than the owner. That's what it means. One must need to think like one.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you can hear me, please feel free on mute. You can hear me
Good
on mute. Good
afternoon,
afternoon,
sir.
everyone.
Afternoon, sir.
Good
Good
afternoon, sir.
afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
Good
afternoon.
afternoon,
It's
Mr.
good to have
Bayo. We can
everyone
hear
here,
you.
loud and clear. How was our service? How was our prayers in the mosque?
It was
Hope
great.
it was a
Thank God.
wonderful
That's
time.
fine. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
that's good. So we'll just buy in some time to allow others join. Number one, so that I don't have to go back. And just like Mr. Samuel said, it's not like we're overlooking those that came early. Trust me, I know the management team have been looking at those that are so prompt, those that are, actively active, and they're taking serious notes. When opportunity comes, definitely trust me. You guys are the first that will be reached out to. So your coming early is not in vain, or in order to just always have one house, it's always very good to just, ensure that everybody join up. So let's just give like 10 more minutes. In that 10 minutes, I want us to discuss. Let's have a quick discussion within ourselves, so far so good, how far you have come. And based on the class of yesterday, are there any questions? We'll use this time to recap on whatever we have done before now that probably we have questions, about. Okay, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand. It could be related to what you have done so far. It could be IT generally. Let's just have that chat before we go into the class. Anyone? Please feel free to unmute your mic and ask. Or I should call name ni.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay. Odetunde. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I can see your hand now. Please go ahead. Feel free.
yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. My question is just a very basic question. I actually want to ask about how are we going to have the after the essential class? Like, what's next for us after the essential? What are we going to do next?
Okay, are you asking individually or as a group?
I'm asking, in the like as an individual person. I'm also asking as a group.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me answer that. So, definitely, I know for some, this might be the end of the journey. For some, many persons will want to further. And I can see, at least from the attendance this afternoon, sorry, I can see the zeal of people that want to further. So definitely, just like I said yesterday, and I know Mr. Samuel and other of my colleagues have been putting this out there from the beginning. Um, this program is actually a CSR, which is one of the ways of giving back to the society that Sardonyx education had put into place, to help every one of us grow. And also, the sky is big enough to accommodate many persons. One person cannot finish the whole job of cybersecurity. So there is room, a lot of rooms, but there's a place of personal decision in your journey. Um, as a person, I always encourage each and every one of us to have a plan, having a detailed plan of what we want to achieve, which stems out of your ability to research. Do you get, if I say we should have 10 years to our ages here, I know many of us will be grandpas. Am I lying? that, that's not to
I can't say you're lying, sir.
but you just said it. That was smart right there. Okay, but the most important aspect of it is, time is ticking. The clock is ticking every day. So it's very important to plan as an individual. Where do I want to go in life? Yes, you have been exposed to network defense essential. You have been exposed to ethical hacking essentials. You have been exposed currently to digital forensic essentials. Now, these are just essentials, and essentials are essentials. Just like in school those days, we used to have general course. So for everyone, it's always good to have that general course, and then keep growing until you are able to specialize. So you have a little taste of each of the three major arms. Cybersecurity is not limited to these three major arms. There are still other fields in cybersecurity, but uh, be that as it may, it's very, very important to be strategic about your growth. You have to be strategic about your environment. You have to be strategic about your planning. When I say strategic, I mean you must position yourself, which you get. You must be ready to put yourself out there, so that people can see you that yes, you do this. Mr. Samuel has been pushing from the beginning. Oh, okay. Tag us on all our social medias, put a word out there, document your journey, those are the little things that count. I've seen people over our years of training, that have, gotten big jobs, big opportunities, by virtue of just doing those small things. So you have to be intentional about your journey. You have to be critical about your, personal journey, as an individual. Make a lot of research. You have learned some things here that can, that I used to tell people, some of the opportunities we are having today by virtue of technology, by virtue of, people willing to give back to the society and all of that. Many of us did not have such opportunities, right? If we had those opportunities or more, we won't be speaking English now. But we thank God, God allowed us to go through that so that we can make those opportunities available for you guys, equally. So that's on an individual note, and still further on an individual note, after the training, you can reach out to Mr. Samuel and the whole marketing team. There are courses that are structured, for your individual growth. So you might be able to have discussions with them if you want to go deeper, the financial commitment that it might entail. They look around, you need to look around the prospects, in the industry that you need to put in place also. And then generally, as a group, I always encourage, I have a law or a rule, a term rule, as from the military, which says leave no one behind, right? You guys here on this group call have been together on this journey, for some few weeks now. It wouldn't be bad if you come together as a group, right? And not just group that will be gossiping and looking for story, this lover, or no. Groups, partners in progress. You can align your ideas, all together. You have somebody else in this group. You guys can be friends, share resources, share patterns. Those ways you will be able to grow. And the community, Sardonyx community too, is there. So you have opportunity to link up with so many other people in the community, right? So those are ways by which you can grow. So the first one, you can reach out to Mr. Samuel to get courses that are tailored towards your, individual growth, or that aligns with your passion. No matter how good you are, right? There will be that area that yes, this is your area. They would, someone will always say, no, if you're looking for this, just call this person. That's his work. Why? Because you have developed yourself in that area. And I have a pattern in my own life that talks about long life learning, right? You don't limit yourself. No, me, I just want to do defense. So Hacking does not concern me. Oh. Digital forensics does not concern me. There are many people that have cut themselves out that way. Why? Because they forget to understand that those things link together. You know. So, but the question is, which area do you want to start from? You know, are you going to narrow down on digital forensics and start growing and learn ethical hacking, or network? You want to start from network defense and grow, because you can't, like I said yesterday, the three, you need to understand the architecture before you can do anything. Whether you want to hack it, new, whether you want to defend it, new, whether you want to forensic it, new, if there's any word like that, whether you want to carry out forensics on it, you must understand the architecture. So you can't run away from it. I've seen people that have had to run away. I don't like programming. They say, hey, sir, they say there's mathematics in cybersecurity. Sometimes I'll just be laughing. Mathematics is life, you know. It's just that we won't be doing the kind of mathematics you do back then in school, those days, where you say 2yx plus y. Nobody will be asking you that. But you have to be arithmetically inclined. You have to be able to calculate. You have to be able to juxtapose. You know. Let me just share this. I was reading the news just yesterday evening, and I saw the Bassi that was trying to break the world record. I love to use real life scenarios, in cybersecurity, most times, because it's not too many of us that like the technical jargon, So in order to make it simplified so that we can understand and be able to grow, it's always good to relate it with real life scenarios. And what was it? They built a big pot, right? Everything went very fine. The washing, the preparation, everything. The rice was done. In fact, I was almost eating the rice from the screen. As I was seeing the rice. You get, but the issue was a very small issue, and that issue, as small as it is, costed the designer. I want us to look at it like this. Costed the designer, so much more opportunities. Now, it's not like it has killed his career. Yeah, anyone can make a mistake, but as an engineer, and that's why sometimes if somebody tells you school is a scam, tell the person, say the person don't know anything in the talk, right? Because it is just few calculations that was needed, right? To be able to ensure that that port is going to stand, those stress, especially when the crane was about carrying it, right? And by virtue of design, principles, right? The pot should actually sit inside, and then there should be something, at least from the few analysis I've gotten around, there should be something around that will be the carriage. So you are literally not carrying the pot directly. You are carrying what is meant to be used to carry the pot, But thank God the rice did not pour. Because if it has poured, it will have been another issue entirely. So why am I saying this? It's a very simple thing, right? Anything you do it to your best. Anything you are planning to do, ensure you do a lot of research about it and do it to your best. That you would have, what do they call it? Minimal parallax error. You would have, zero. It's not possible to have 100%, but at least have 99.99, you know, like that. So, and what that means is you have to give in your time, you have to give in your energy, you have to burn night candles. And why burning night candles? Don't go and kill yourself. You get, ensure you eat properly, you sleep properly, you have a balance for yourself, right? Because our biological clocks are ticking every day. We get old, we get weak, we get tired, and so many other things. You have to factor a whole lot of things into it. And the earlier you start factoring it, the better that you can be. I don't want any one of us here on this call making the mistake that some of us have made in the past, right? And that's the essence of going through this teaching. So by and large, it's not just focusing on one thing, without balancing it across. So you should have a plan, minimum a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan that will spread across what you want to achieve. Now the plan can keep changing as information grows and all of that, but having it would give you direction. Having it will give you a path. And most importantly, don't do anything without consulting God. Don't do anything without consulting God, right? There are some persons that are meant to be network defenders, but because they didn't consult God, they are working with Excel, and that can be more frustrating, you know. There are some persons that yes, you have to work with Excel for a few years and move to the next phase, you know, but they're still stuck in working with Excel, you know. So all those things you have to look into it in a balanced, you know, view. But Odette, I was able to answer your question. No.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hello,
So
sir.
any
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
any other person? More questions. More questions. I think I just have a few seconds. 22 persons now. That's a good number. More questions. More questions. Okay. Nathaniel, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Good
Oh, sorry,
afternoon.
afternoon, I mean, sorry. So, my question goes like, so just to add up from what the previous person asked as a question. So,
Okay.
what if you probably have an interest in, like, basically in being an ethical hacker and being a SOC analyst? So, I just want to really ask, where can you really progress from? I know that you can, the both of them are intertwined, like you said earlier. But what can be the driving force for you to? Okay, I'm starting from this, then I'll switch to this. Which one comes first in a way? Because I know that we talked about breaking into cybersecurity. People say starting from GRC and the likes. But
Okay.
I don't really want to do the whole legal thing in cybersecurity. So which one do you really think it's preferred? Starting from being a SOC analyst with the security part, using the same tools, or starting with fundamentals of maybe networking, then going to Kali Linux and the likes. What was your take on that?
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much straightforward. The best point to start is the point you started now, which is the essentials, right? Followed by the essentials will be the CCT, you know, followed by the CCT in most cases, from what I've seen so far, is CH, right? That's going by the EC Council path and all of that, you know. But I've seen persons that necessarily don't want to start like that. Some decided they started from GRC. You know how they did it, I don't know, but it's still possible. Do you get? And that's one beautiful thing with IT. You know, the part you start from, you know, doesn't really matter like that, but it goes a long way to determine how tedious it can be. Do you get? So imagine me, I want to be a medical personnel, and I started as a cleaner in the hospital, right? Someone will say, it's a long journey now, you know. So from cleaning gradually, oh, okay, started going for 4 year course, a nursing course, you know, in school, and he became a nurse. After becoming a nurse, now I had to go for another, and then that path is easier for someone else. You will see another person who will tell you that path is a long path for him. He doesn't, he will go straight to medical school. Probably because Jam helped him to be able to get enter directly. Do you get? And it starts from there. So, well, with cybersecurity, there's no particular place that you say, oh, you're starting from, right? But like I said, you're already on the track. Network essentials, defense essentials. He's intimating you. He's bringing you into what is to come. All right. The next step is CCT, which is the certified in cybersecurity, certified cybersecurity technician. You have the CompTIA Security Plus. You have, you know, some other path like that, depending on, like I said, the cases are different for individuals. So you have to understand your scenario. You have to understand your strength. You have to understand what draws your attention. But don't limit yourself. I say no, me, I don't want to do this one at all. No, no, nah. If you dodge it, you will meet it there. So for example, now, if you are dodging documentation, because of documentation, you don't want to be in GRC. Trust me, when you get to ethical hacking, you will document. For the documentation in ethical hacking is even harder than that of GRC. Do you get? Not to now say, okay, yes, you are now in digital forensic. that one you must. In fact, if a fly flies and passes when you are doing your forensics, you must document it. It is that deep. Do you get? So it's all interwoven, and you need to first discover yourself and know where to align, yourself basically. In terms of job role, yeah, you can say yes, I want to become a SOC person. Then you outline what is needed in SOC, and you learn that what is needed in SOC, right? And that will just make you a SOC specialist, a SOC 1, L1, L2, L3, whatever L. If they will create another L tomorrow, that will make it, make you sitting there. Okay, that's about that, Nathaniel. Right?
Okay, yeah, sorry,
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Zaya, good afternoon. Sorry, I
Good
was
afternoon.
struggling to
I
be in
can
a less noisy environment. Sorry. Good
I can
afternoon.
hear
Can you
you
hear me?
now. Yeah, loud and clear.
Oh, okay. So I just want to ask a question in line with what the last person asked a question. Same in line with what I want to ask. Like my career path, I'm a QA quality assurance engineer, right? That's my career path. And the reason why I decided to take this course is just in line with me testing. I also want to be able to, give advice to the software engineers as to some possible loophole that they need to cover, as well as to also enable me to, test effectively where there might be loopholes. Right, that's my desire in coming into in taking this course, it is program, and so far it has been really, really helpful to me. Like the really expository and pointing some, if it was out the question I'd be asking, just to enable me like this. I'm testing this an application, it's not just me testing it line of as a Q engineer taking that pattern, but also bringing in security into it. So how would you advise me, and how would you advise me, yeah, which career paths you like, it's not career path, which of the different aspect of this cybersecurity would you advise me to like to go in? Mind you, not, I don't want to go into cyber because that's a career path, right? But it's knowledge I want to acquire to help me to effectively deliver my just a Q engineer by advising the developers as well as knowing what to test, in terms of security. I don't know if
Okay.
you get it.
Yeah, I kind of get it, but I'll give a general answer here, and then maybe
Oh,
later we can have a much more detailed, answer
oh,
that is personalized and tailored to your own preferences, right?
okay.
So, on a general note,
Yeah.
given the question that Nathaniel initially asked, now you are a QA already. Now, I
Yeah.
don't have an idea of your background. Maybe you did tech in school, computer science, computer related. That's why I said I'll first give a general answer. So, but
Okay.
whatsoever it is, you possibly did a training in quality assurance, and then what you're doing quality assurance on is technology products, right? And you can't assure the quality of technology product without understanding how those product works, isn't it?
Right.
So at a professional level, yes, or at a professional general level, you can do the basics that is needed, right? How do they call it? Is it KPI? What is needed for you, for that software. But in terms of building, right, for critical understanding, you can agree with me that it is very important that you understand the SDLC, which is software development lifecycle, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Exactly. And back in the days, we used to have what they call waterfall method and all of that. But
Yeah.
all of that has changed now. It is now the agile method, right?
Correct.
And having the agile method is what the dev tech operation has in place, right? That is, security has been implemented at every journey in what you do. So now, let's bring the script out a bit. Someone that understands how applications are built, not just that he understands how application is built, he himself has built an application, probably in the past, and someone else who just understands but has not built an application, who do you think will thrive better? in the industry? Or who do you think should thrive better in the industry? Hello, Bryce, are you
Who
there?
understand? Yes, person
Yeah?
who understand how it's being built.
No, I have two persons here. One understands how it's been built and has built.
Oh, okay.
And there's another that just understands. Yeah, he has gone to school, did certification. Yeah. And he understands. Who do you think should thrive better in the
And the first
industry?
person, someone
Is the
who
first
understand and has
person.
built.
Exactly. Now, someone who just understands, but has a link with someone who builds, right? And is able to learn from that person, should be able to grow faster. Are we in sync?
Yeah.
Exactly. Should be able to grow faster. Why? Because there's a synergy between understanding the architecture and how it is being, how it works, basically. So now, if I'm to advise you as a
Yeah.
person who has been in the industry or who has been in projects at one point or another, right? And you mentioned one word that you have something you don't want to go into ethical hacking or cybersecurity in quote as a
As a
career,
profession.
as a
Yes.
profession.
Yeah.
But for you to learn it, you need to touch it as a profession a little bit. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
This one not too clear, sha.
Okay. Okay. So let me say you need to do IT. You understand? You don't want to go full time, but you need to do IT in that environment a little bit so that you can be so strong and be more you'll be more focused with your QA because it seems you still want to stick with QA completely.
Yeah, sure,
And
definitely.
QA is a different ball game entirely. You get because you're looking at so many aspects, interface, back end, front end. You're looking at
Yeah.
so many things, at the same time. So it's a little bit of a little bit mixture of both management and technicality. And the same thing too. Let me cite this example. So
Okay.
we've been able to we've been privileged over the years to have people that we train. And imagine that already CISOs, coming to class to take CA. You know what that means? Like the
No.
person is
No.
already a CISO. He
Okay.
has risen through the ranks for whatever reason, And I've seen people that, oh, you just sat down here because you understand how to speak English and you can read and write. Why not? You write an exam after being in the banking sector for maybe 5 years. You write a CISO level exam, and then all at the same time, you are made a CISO, right? And
Okay.
you could thrive, you could work very well because the guys working with you are good guys, you
Mm.
know we had that back in some years ago before people started migrating abroad. The moment people started migrating abroad, it became a different ball game entirely. CISOs had to come to class. You know, apart from having to learn the new technology, which is one of the reasons why the CISOs will come to class, many of them still needed to understand those technicalities. Do you get? They still needed to understand those technicalities so that they can perform their duty much better. In fact, I will always recommend if you're planning to become a CISO tomorrow, don't dodge this essential class. Don't dodge the CCT class. Don't dodge the CH class because the knowledge packed into each of them is different. And if you have to spread a time to learn all of this, if you spread 3 years, my brother is already a career path. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
won't say you should dodge it as a career path. Just be open to learning from it and be open to being in environments where they discuss it or they do, those things real time. That way you're going to grow faster and you're going to become an effective QA, not just a QA. Because there are so many persons that are okay, there are so many persons out there that are pen testers. Yeah, they wrote an exams and passed. Do you get? But only few understands the depth. Only few can give the value. Many are just stuck at that level of the training because they can't see further. Do you get? So, and that's what I always, recommend. Go deeper. For some of us being in school, 5-year course, we did practically the same thing for 4 years, and then we specialized in the 5th year. For some schools, as a 200 level after going for your IT, they'll separate you, right? And the difference
Yeah.
will always be there. The difference will always be there anytime, any day. That's why you see some, electrical guys, they will get to the bank and they would be able to do work. But you can't bring somebody from, what do they call it? From management and sciences to come and do what electrical guys are doing or the stress they went through. Do you get? Now, that is not to undermine, their strength also. They're still I've seen people. In fact, most of my good friends in IT now are from other backgrounds. I had a medical doctor who as he can operate on human being, he can operate on systems.
Wonderful.
Exactly. So the most important thing is how far are you willing to go? Do you get? So beyond the role-based, stuffs that we have out there. Oh, okay, I want to become a QA. I want to become a security analyst. Those things are title. There are deeper technical things in each of those things, right? So if I just want to stick to the professionality, I'll just learn what is needed. Like someone mentioned, SIEM. I can learn Splunk. I can learn this. You just like I see someone is cherry picking. Do you get? You just pick, and gather together, and you say, yes, I'm a cybersecurity person. There are many people out there like that, and then no man is an island. You cannot do all. Do
Yeah,
you get?
correct.
Exactly. So, but having a background knowledge of all would help you to stand strong and be able to face the storm that is coming. The storm has started already because AI is going to kick out so many persons. She gets. I remember back in some of my classes, I was just, sir, do I need to learn programming? I'll be like, yes, you need to learn programming. And no, you don't need to learn programming. You're like, sir, you're confusing us. Yes, now. Because if you don't even understand the basics of programming, you have limited yourself at some point.
Yeah.
Now, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't make money. You'll be able to make money. In fact, many people making more money now are people that don't even write programs. That's the truth. Do you get ahead? But some of us just do it because of the love we have. I just want to do this. I want to know this thing, and you see people coming to consult you years later because, okay, yes, you understand how this is. So you need to position yourself strategically, Okay. Are there any other questions before I begin to pull into the full business of the day? Hope I'm able to answer you, Bright. Like I said, we still get more talk. Hello? Am I still audible?
Yes,
Hello?
you are still audible.
Yeah,
You are still
we can
audible.
hear you.
Oh, okay. Bright, hope I was able to answer you, right?
Yes, yes, you did.
Okay, more questions, more questions. I still have roughly like 19 minutes to take questions and then recap on what we have done. Okay, go ahead and speak, Michael.
Okay, I have a question, yeah. So I have been told that if you want to go into cybersecurity, especially ethical hacking, it's usually important to know both offensive and defensive defensive security. So which of them is like I want to know the exact pathway to go on first. Like, do you learn offensive cybersecurity first before you now switch to learn defensive, or do you learn defensive first, then you go to that's after knowing the basics? Do we start with offensive, then go to defensive, or do you start with defensive, then go to offensive? I don't
Okay,
know if you get
right.
what I'm saying.
I understand you very well.
Okay.
The question is still similar to what I answered, earlier. Let me explain it this way. Um, do I need to become a thief before I join the police? Or do I need to become a police before I join the team? let me reiterate again, just on a very, very funny level. So you necessarily don't have you necessarily don't have to you don't have to stick to what is out there. You don't have to stick to the generality. Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. There's something that is specific to you. And the two mindsets are totally different. Do you get what a hacker needs to do, or the hacker's mindset is totally different from the defensive personnel's mindset, even though you are acting on the same entity. Is the network you want to defend, it's still the same network they want to attack. But somebody that wants to attack will constantly think outside the box. We'll constantly think outside what defense system that has been put in place, and whatsoever the hacker has done is what the defense guy will need to put in place, should in case somebody else wants to use that method of hacking. Do you get? So the mindsets are two different things. So in alignment with your personality, it is left to you to say, okay, wait a minute, let me start with network defense, and see how it grows. Or maybe that's the opportunity that comes to you first. Why not? Pick it. If it is the ethical hacking that comes to you first, why not? You can equally pick it, right? But there's something that is linking the two of them together, which is the standard, the OSI model, the OSI standard, right? So you need to understand that back to back. That is more or less like saying you're understanding how the architecture is. The moment you understand how the architecture is, it becomes easier to say, okay, well, I can join defense today. And in the SOC, you have three major different angles. You have the offensive, you have the defensive, you have a mixture of the two, which is Bala Blue. And then nowadays, you're having the forensic also, that is seated, somewhere else. And still, what many people call cybersecurity is the usage of those tools. So in an organization, many of those tools are already there. And only those that understand those tools and what those tools are looking out for will be able to use them. Now, in cases where those tools are giving you false positives, that's where the real thing is coming out from. That is the real cybersecurity, as far as me I'm concerned. Because if you do a scan and the scan is telling you high, and you go and verify manually, and you are realizing that it is low, or it gave you low, it's giving you, so there are so many, arrangements around that. But it's your personal conviction, how you want to chart your course and doing the research. So for example, now, I've had someone who is relocating to US, right? And he's saying, sir, CH, no, if I do CH, am I going to get recognition? I just told him, I said, go and register for Computer Security Plus exam. Why? Because over there, their HR system looks more into Computer Security Plus. Not that they don't recognize CH, but they will first put, Computer Security Plus, in the forefront. And thank God, we train all those courses also. So it made it easier for him, and he got his voucher, wrote his exam, passed, got there, started looking for a job. It's been long I spoke with him now. He must have probably gotten a job. People don't remember you when it's when they're looking for a job, they will remember. But that's the beautiful, part of it. So you can start from right where you are. You can decide to start with the defense, can decide to start with the offense, right? It depends on your personality and how you can carry it. But anywhere you start, the workload, you can't dodge it. The work, you go still work that work. You get. If you decide to go and start from GRC, no problem. You'll be writing English. That workload, where you dey run from, you go still can't do it again, basically. Hope I'm able to answer you, Michael.
Sure, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I understand you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, more questions. So if no more questions, we'll just quickly go down to our recap. So who can give me a quick recap of what we did yesterday? This time I'll be calling names. It's my turn to ask questions. Olamide Osho, I'm starting with you. Unmute your mic. Tell us what you can remember about what we did yesterday. Okay, Joshua.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lazaya. Thank you very much for opportunities. Yesterday we talked about computer forensic fundamentals. Why do we need a forensic? Reasons to be able to track attackers around the globe and to protect organization financial resources. We also looked at issues like why do you use computer forensic? When do you use them? To identify actions and also prepare incidents. Okay, we talked about types of cybercrime, and we said cybercrime is any illegal acts involving a computer device and network and all of that. Also, we talked about impact of cyber crimes at organization level, loss of confidentiality, integrity, sudden disruptions of business. We talked about digital evidence, types of digital evidence, roles of digital evidence, sources and potentials like that. Then we talked about best evidence rule, okay, this benefit and all of that. Then forensic readiness planning and also, okay, we went and talked about building investigative teams and all of that, computer forensic and legal compliances. We talked about the hard disk and file systems and all of that. So basically, those were the things we talked about yesterday.
Oh yeah, now Joshua was in class. Joshua Nweke, take it up from there. What can you remember from yesterday's class? A wonderful round of applause for Joshua. A wonderful virtual round of applause. Emojis, let the emojis drop. Joshua Nweke, what can you remember from yesterday's class? Thank you, Olorun Tui. Miss Joshua is not here. Ayomide, please go ahead. What can you remember? Just a quick recap. I have 9 minutes to take that. Okay, Joshua says he's here. Or is that Ayomide? Let me read the chats. Oh, okay. Possibly his network. Okay, that's fine. Ayomide, please. A quick recap. Adeshola Oluwole can help out with that.
Yeah, good afternoon. Sorry, I was not in yesterday's class at all. So I'll have to catch
Aww.
up. I was not around. I was not at all.
Okay, so you might catch up with the recording. That's fine.
Yes.
But at
yes,
least from the recap, you can hear what every other person is saying. Okay,
yes,
that's
yes.
noted. Olaide Adeshegun, yeah, you were around yesterday. I saw you yesterday. Olaide. Olaide, please unmute and speak. Okay, Grace Emmanuel. Unmute and speak. A quick recap from yesterday. Grace Emmanuel, if you are there, kindly unmute and speak. A quick recap from yesterday. Joshua Eheagunia has done a good recap. Omolola Pokuola, quick recap from yesterday's class. We have 7 minutes to do that. Please unmute and speak. Okay, Joshua said his place is actually noisy. That's understood. Omolola Pokuola, are you sure these people are in this class? Omolola Pokuola, Grace Emmanuel, Olaide Adeshegun, Adeniji Adeniyi. Kindly unmute and speak. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I'm not in class yesterday.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Adeniyi was not in class yesterday, right?
Yeah, I was
Okay, that's fine. Omolola says he can unmute. Omolola, everybody have been given the ability to mute and unmute. Please kindly confirm that. Hamad Sultan. Unmute and and talk. I want to hear everybody's voice. So, a quick recap from yesterday's class. Good afternoon, my brother.
Okay. Network did me yesterday, but network did me dirty yesterday, but
Yeah.
the fact that
Bele.
the fact that I know that I taught very well was when you were talking about evidence and preservation of evidence for maybe for showing court or whatever, that you said that after maybe the footprints left by the attackers or hackers, that it mustn't like it must not change. Like it must not be changed rather or operated on. I don't know how to put it. That
Must not be
it should be
tampered with.
must not be tampered with. That it should be preserved, and any findings that is meant to be done should be any findings that should be done or that is meant to be done on it should be done in a simulated environment, not on the actual evidence. I think that's the part that I got very well.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Any other person? Mr. Samuel, kindly help me unmute Omolola Popola. She says she's finding it difficult to unmute herself. Ahmed Sultan, that was a good one. Yes, Olorun Tuyi, please unmute and speak. I'm just seeing your hand, I'm sorry. We have 4 minutes to take the recaps. Olorun Tuyi Ayomide, please mute and speak. Your hand is still up. Okay, I can see Bright hand is up also, while Olorun Tuyi and Popola are trying to get that. Bright, please unmute and speak.
Okay, so for me yesterday, what really stood out, right? A lot of them was discussed yesterday, right? And my other fellow trainees has also mentioned that. But for me yesterday, what actually stood out was when you mentioned of communication, like you were hammering on communication yesterday repetitively, and I saw the need for that in the scenario of trying to communicate to the judge in case of when legal proceeding. And the judge is not a technical person, so your ability to be able to communicate your findings to the judge in a layman terms for him to understand, given his non-technical background, is very, very crucial, right? So that really stick for me yesterday.
That's a good one. A wonderful round of applause for Bright. Niniola Janet, please go ahead. We have just 2 minutes. A recap from yesterday. Okay, I can see someone just said, oh, good. Ayomide says, my place is noisy. We talked about why we gathered evidence, then we dived into computer forensics, need for computer forensic, extract evidence to help track perpetrators, and give examples of a flash drive. Okay, we also moved into cybercrime, and we explained what cybercrime is. We talked about impact of cybercrime in different levels, such as organizational level, loss of integrity for the organization, financial loss, theft of sensitive data, and you said something I took very seriously. No data is ever clear off the internet. Yes, now internet no they forget now, or off the air. Yes, now internet no they forget. That's true. That's true, and that's why we need to even watch our own footprints out there. Basically. Okay, that's a very good one. It shows that we were all attentive in the class, and I'm happy to hear that. Now, you might not pick 100% of what is being done in class, but when you go back and go over it, it's going to stick. And trust me, 3 years down the line, if you still carry the material you jotted and go back, you still learn something new, from it. That's the beauty of all of this. Okay, so let me quickly dive into what we have for today, which is a continuation of from yesterday. Please just give me 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, can you see my screen? Hello, am I audible? Yeah, you can see it. That's great.
Yes,
So basically, okay. So we went off here yesterday. Cluster size. When we're talking about HDD, mentioned about SSD a bit, and also a whole lot of that. So most times you would hear that your hard disk is fragmented. You need to run check disk. Okay, let me do this. I'm going to stop sharing. I'll share this. I was around here yesterday. Okay, so I did okay, so CMD, which is command prompt, run as administrator. We played around a bit yesterday before going with disk part, right? Disk part together. This gives you the disk partition utility. If you type the command list disk, it would give you the list of the disks that you have plugged in, both the ones plugged into the system and the one the one directly in the system and the one you plugged as a flash drive. And then you can do so many operations, with this. You can do so many operations. You can create active mark a partition as active. You can add, you can assign, you can clean. You want to wipe out. I don't want to do that at the moment. You can do so many things. You can recover, you can rescan, you can retain, you can do so many things, but I'm not going into the depth of that at the moment. So now, if you have this, I do cd dot. Cd dot is to take me back some steps. There are so many ways you can do that, not necessarily cd dot. If I do a dir dir/w/p, it will give me the list of the files, I have and all the stuffs I have there. But I want to do one significant thing. If I open this, you would see that I have 3 disks here: C drive, D drive, E drive, right? I'm working on this C currently, so I won't want to do anything that will affect it. The E drive is very large, so I won't want to touch it equally. But the D drive, which is the main drive here, that doesn't really have much, is it has 186 gig free. So I'm going to run a quick check disk. This will give us some of the informations I've mentioned yesterday about fragmentation, whether there is a bad partition, a bad sector, whether there is, any of those properties as the case would be. So if I type this command, chk dsk, which is the short form of check disk. By the way, you will still be playing around with some of these things at different levels. So if you don't need to cram any commands. Many of us at times we get carried away by saying, do I need to these commands are too much, and do I need to cram them? You don't need to cram anything. Nothing to cram. Just come to the command prompt and type help. It will give you all the commands. So even if you forget it, you can easily see the disk path we used just now, right? What we want to use now is chkdsk. Let's say I don't even remember, I don't know what it is for. It is written here. Checks a disk and displays a status report, right? And if I have this, I want to learn more about this particular command. I could literally come here and type chkdsk /? That is, I want to know how to use that particular command. And you see it's giving me a different information here. I can see that checks a disk. That's what that command does. But how does it check a disk? You type the command chkdsk, the volume, either it is C drive, it is D drive, it is E drive, it is F drive, as the case may be, then the colon. And if it is a specific path, you'll be able to specify, okay, it is C/Windows/System32, to be able to tell you the path, that is. And then you now have so many options you can use. /F. What does /F means? Anybody? Please unmute and speak. What does /F means?
Fixes error on the disk.
Fixes errors on the disk.
On the disk.
Good. /V.
Fixes errors on the disk.
What does /V do?
Unfat 32, display the full paths and name of every
Exactly.
file on the disk.
Exactly. /R. This was what I was mentioning yesterday.
Locate
It
bad
locates
sectors.
bad sectors. It's looking for bad sectors and look for recoverable information so that it can use those information to see if it can recover it. And that's why we have what we call cyclic redundance check, checksum, and all those parity checkers that we have to help us correct errors in cases like that, at a deeper level. L/L/X, sorry, /L/X/I/C, and so many /scan/ is when you are alone. You can practice this. In fact, there was a time that practically this was my work. This was around 98, 99, thereabout. I will sit down with the operating system and open open the disk. I'll be trying everything one after the other. I went as far as going into system 32 and deleting files. I just wanted to see how the system will react. I would delete it until I crash my other brother's system. It's God that saved my life. They beat heaven on earth. But today they are saying, yes, it's my engineer, it's my guru. I said they will be. Okay. So basically, you can literally use this for any commands, but our command of focus for today is just check disk. So now, I could literally check other disk by saying thk dsk. Now let's say slash, because we already know the file format we're running with, which is ntfs, /f/r. Now, if it is part of FAT32, I would need to put /v, right? But I'm not doing that at the moment. So let's do /f/r. Then the drive itself. What was our drive again? What was our drive again? We forgot it. This was our drive. Drive D, exactly. The larger the size, the longer it's going to take to scan. That's a no-brainer. So if you look at it, you will see it. After typing the command blah, blah, /f/r/d is asking a lot of questions. Would you like to force a dismount on this volume? Why not? I want you to scan it and check if there's an error there. And then lo and behold, I click in, type Y, and yes. Now, you see what it did here. This volume will be checked the next time the system restarts. So I have a little trick I use to bypass that. /V will do that trick. /V will do that trick for me. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. That's the drive I'm booting from. That's the drive I'm booting from. That's why it's saying that. It still wants to do that. Okay, let me do that on drive. I think it's E. Okay, E is scanning now. Good. I think E doesn't have any operating system files running. So look at this now. You see stage 1. Now this stage is going to go on and on and on and on. You see it, orphan file record recovered. Stage 2, it has started scanning. Stage 3, even me seeing this alone, cleaning up 3 unused index entries means that disk has been having some issues. Now, issues, it might not be a deep issue. It might be issues related to improper shutdown. It might be issues related to not copying something in properly, right? And this time around, it's looking for what bad clusters, in the user files. And that's why it's always good to have, there's what we call defragmentation. If your files are just scattered, you copy everywhere you like. You do operating system files in one sector, and then this is in another sector or more. That would fragment your files, and you need to defragment your hard disk from time, to time. So that talks about that. Let me go on. Lost clusters. You can see the image on the right hand side here. Just similar to what we just did now. where you can do that recover. When the OS marks clusters as used but does not allocate them to any file, such clusters are known as lost clusters. A lost cluster is a fat file system error that results from the manner in which the file allocation table file system allocates spaces, chains files together. It is mainly the result of a logical structure error, yeah, and it's not a physical disk error. So all those things can be worked on. This reminds me of I was privileged to work with INEC in 2011. You know, as a RACO. No, not Iraqo. Lesser than Iraqo. Supervised Arrow 2, sorry, that's the name then. Assistant Registration Officer 2, you know. But by virtue of my skills, they couldn't keep me in the field. They had to take me to the to the center. And what was it? They bought so many hard disks then, Western Digital, you know. And then all of a sudden, some of those disks, after they have backed up everything from the field, was having problems, you know. So imagine that you have voters registers that have been registered into the systems, and all of a sudden you want to back them up in the RACO center. At the end of the day, you can't do that. You won't believe it. Within like 7 or 8 days, I and a friend of mine, is late now, may the Lord bless his soul, we sat down on over 500 Western Digital hard disks and recovered data, you know, that were presumably lost. Some were thought to have, not work again. And that saved the day. Because imagine that you have voter registers that have been registered, maybe like 10,000 persons have been registered. How do you want to go back to the community to start calling them back? you know? And the moment that happens and you get to the center, what they were doing was they would cut the file from the system, right? And put it on the disk because they still want the system to go back to the site, especially when they are assigning to another person. So it was a whole, lot of work. But those are part of the building processes. They usually occur because of interrupted file activities. Cost, for example, a file is not properly closed, thus the cluster involved in such activity are never linked correctly to a file. Check disk is the system tool in Windows that authenticates the file system's readability of a volume and repairs logical file system. That's what that does. But at an advanced level, we use it for much more stuff. Then you have the slack space in the storage area of a disk between the end of a file and the end of a cluster. If the file size is less than the cluster size, a full cluster is still assigned to that file. So like we gave an example yesterday, you want to copy something that is roughly like 600 bytes, right? It will allocate, 2 512s. 2 512 is 1024. So the remaining part, it will just left. That's a slack space. It's the remaining unused space, and it's part of what causes those issues. For example, if the partition size is 4 GB, each cluster size will be 32 kilobytes in size. Even if a file requires only 10 kilobytes, the entire 32 kilobytes will be allocated to that file, resulting in 22 KB of slack space. And that can happen. I don't want to go into deeper explanation because this is still essential of what attackers can do with those kind of spaces, what they can use to cause, especially in terms of what we call buffer overflow, and how you play around with memory addresses and so many things. But that's for other classes, not yet. Okay, file slack types. You have the RAM slack, you have the drive slack. The RAM too is we call it the random access memory. That is a memory you can quickly go inside and pick something and come out. Quickly go in, pick something and come out, right? So is the storage drive, which is a bigger memory, but its own work is more of storage. So imagine that in your house, you have a big pantry. In the pantry, you have a bag of rice. Inside that bag of rice, you don't always want to be going into the bag of rice every time, right? So you created a small smaller storage, those white big buckets that you put rice inside. So when you want to eat, like this Sunday now, you're hungry, you just came back from church or from anywhere, and you just fetch 2 cups. You don't have to go into the bag, which is the hard disk, to go and carry, what you need. From that small RAM, you can quickly fetch, and then you start cooking, quickly. And then after cooking, you don't invite me. Me, I'm still talking class. Okay, so that brings us to what we call the master boot record. The master boot record is the first sector. That is where all operations are starting from. That is where the operating systems, sequences are loaded. And that's what gives rise to what we call the post power on self-test, that the system goes through. The moment you press power on your system and it's coming up, the first thing it will show you one blue. It depends on it will show you blue screen of death. It will show you maybe a screen that is telling you HP or Lenovo. Then by the left, you see press escape to do something. For slower systems, you'll be able to see it very well because it's in slow mo, right? But for faster system, that place you might not even see it at all. Do you get? But it's what happens. The system will have to check itself. And what do I mean by checking itself? It's like you dressing in the morning and you are going out. You're going to work tomorrow. Definitely, you have to look at yourself in the mirror. But for somebody like me, I don't always look at the mirror. But you have to look at yourself in the mirror. Check your whether your hair is well brushed. Check everything. Make sure you are intact before going out, and you don't forget your phone in the kitchen on the table. That kind of a thing. So the system will have to check itself. Check its USB ports. Check its audio ports. Check everything, both hardware and software, and see that everything is okay. And all of those informations have been stored in a place that we call the BIOS, right? The BIOS is the basic input and output system of a system or a machine, as the case is. The basic input and output. So to check all the input devices, check all the output devices, and ensure that, yes, they're in good working condition. If they are not in good working condition, that's when you get an error that you show. For many of us, I know we must have come across that of the battery. It will tell you that the battery does not last long. You might need to change this battery, or it will tell you your audio is not working well. If it is fan, which is another common case, it will show you your fan is not, adequate. You might overheat and write all those English and put there, right? That's that basically. So the master boot record sits at that position where the boot file, for that machine is stored. 2, the information regarding the files on the disk, their locations and sizes and other important data is stored in the NBR. In practice, NBR almost always refers to 512 bytes boot sector or partition sector of a disk. The NBR is used for the following: holding a partition table, which refers to the partition of a hard disk. Bootstrapping an operating system helps. It's like a board for the operating system to start up from, like I said earlier. Distinctly recognizing individual hard disk media with a 32-bit disk signature. So that's that about that, basically. You can read more about it. And then you have the structure of a master boot record. We said yesterday, binary is the language of the computer, right? Which we call the computer language, or different names as the case may be. Now, the NBR consists of 3 parts. You have the master boot code, or the bootstrap. You have the partition table, and finally the digital signatures. All of these have binaries stored in them. They can be stored in form of hexadecimal. They can be stored in form of octadecimal, and they can be stored also in decimal format, as you can see, that it shows here. Now, this takes me to one important point. For example, on a system, I want to open up the registry, which is the reg edit, right? That's the registry editor, right? Everything that is happening on the system is stored in the registry. Just the way you have in a nation, you have the registry. In the registry, if you want to do marriage, you must go registry. If you want to do, something that is very important, you must go registry. Registry, your information is stored there that yes, you are one of us, basically. Whether you are hardware, you are software, you are anywhere, any of the type of the where that might be existing, it has an input, it has a storage in the registry. Alongside also, it has a storage, a place in the system 32, which I'm still coming to that. But let's focus on the registry. If I open the registry, in here, I just want to show us the structure. So in here, you can see you have how many different partitions. You have the H key classes, which is the root. You have the H key current user. The current user is the current user you are logged in as. So I'm logged in currently as Sardonyx Technologies, right? And H key local machine, which is the system itself, right? And then you have H key users, which means every other users that are, on that system. On a particular system, you can have more than 2 or more users. Guest user, your own user, you can have another user, maybe your brother, your sister, have as many users. In an organization, you have, maybe one, if you have a system that is just for you, or if it's the system that is being used by so many users, you have each users that will have their own login details, and then finally, you have the H key current configuration. The current configuration goes directly with the current user, right? And makes it easier. So every entry, as I'm working currently now, every information, everything I'm doing virtually is going through this place. If I install something, it's going to come along here. If I uninstall something, it will have a storage, it will have an entry here. And that entry is being stored in form of decimal, hexadecimal, zeros and one. Any way you can store zeros and one is being stored, here, basically. And then if you go down, this is software. Let me check systems. Okay. Let me see. H key local machine. I'm coming to systems. Under systems, I'm coming to wait a minute. Software. Under software, I'm coming to Microsoft. Under Microsoft, I'm seeing so many things. No, not here. Let me still go back here. Okay. No. Okay. Software, yes. Software. Microsoft. Look at this. Can you see this? Defrag. This is for defragmentation, which is talking about hard disk. So every information about the hard disk comes into this place. You see it? You see it? And it's not just limited here. It's stored in so many places, as the case will be, depending on what is being stored. So basically, the master boot code or the bootstrap, it's an executable code and responsible for loading the operating system into the RAM, into the computer memory. And it consists of the data structure of what? 446 bytes. The partition table, it maintains the data of all the hard disk partitions and consists of a data structure which is 64 bytes. Don't mix it up. There's a difference between bytes and bits. 8 bits makes 1 byte. Okay, the disk signature is located at the end of the MBR and contains only 2 bytes of data. It is required by the BIOS during boot up. We mentioned BIOS some minutes ago, which is the basic input and output system. And this is where it's fetching those information from. Once the informations are gotten right, the system boots up. If the information is not gotten right, then you start seeing blue screen of death, you start seeing all manner of things. And those blue screen of death could be as a result of a software malfunction, which is the work of an ethical hacker sometimes. Sorry, not ethical hacker, a hacker. You don't want the software to function normally. You want the software to misbehave. You are the bulldozer. You want it to just misbehave. So anything that you can do to make it misbehave, just do it. You know, is what hackers done. But ethical hackers too also, we test that to ensure that yes, our operating system are resilient and our defense is very, very strong. We have the disk partitions. Disk partitioning is the creation of a logical disk, whereby you partition. You saw this yesterday, where you can create different partitions. And why do you do that? For data redundancy. You don't want a situation whereby your system crashes and then you can't recover your data. It makes data much more easier. Okay, that's that. BIOS parameter block, which is the BPB. The parameter block is a data structure in the partition boot sector. It describes the physical layout of a data storage volume, such as the number of heads and the size of the tracks on the disk. The BPB in file systems such as file 12 back in those days, except for DOS 1.6. I cannot carry una go back during the days of Windows 3.1, Windows 386, System 386, FAT16, FAT32, high performance file system, NTF. It has so many. Why do we have this? It defines the file structure. The BPB length varies from
can't hear you, sir.
FAT16. Oh,
No, I can hear him.
We can, please. I think it's your network. We can hear you, please.
Yes, Isaiah, you are audible. Please, you can continue. Isaiah, if you are speaking, we can't hear you again.
I can see someone's hand is up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Nathaniel, your hand is up.
Yes, I had a question initially when you were talking about the registry edits or reg edits basically.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask about now you were showing us that on Windows. So how
Yes.
do we get to do the same thing on if you're using a Linux based operating system, maybe like an Ubuntu or something?
For Linux, it's a slightly more different. It's slightly much different, and it's stored in a different compartment. But for the advanced class, definitely we'll still talk about that. Okay, so that's just basic about that. You have the sector offset and so many. All of these are like I said, these things are deeper than this. For example, you are seeing sector offset. I am seeing memory address, right? But that's what they are, at an essential level, so that I don't go into too much technicalities, as the case would be. But just note them and know them for what they are now. In a deeper class, we'll be able to dissect deeper into those things. So you can see this. These are bytes, these are words. Like opening the registry now, this is what you're seeing. You see, this is a reg word. If I right click here now, maybe I want to customize it. Please don't do this or your machine. I want to customize this now. I have key, I have string value, I have binary, I have D word, I have Q word, I have multi-string value, I have expandable string value. And let's say, for example, I want to use a double word, right? I can name it anything. This is on my disk. I would say offline key. Now you're not allowed to put space. You can put them this way or an underscore, as the case is. And let's say I put that, and you see the value is set to 0. 0 here means I'm turning it off. If I double click on it, you see it in hexadecimal form. If I turn it to 1, I'm saying it should be on. I don't want to go into details yet, but just understand it for what it is. And I can represent it in hexadecimal, I can represent it in decimal. as the case may be. I don't want to tamper with my OS now, so I'm removing it. But you understand what I'm saying, basically. You can customize. You need more knowledge to be able to do that. Okay, so you're seeing a whole lot, for different stuffs. You have the flags, you have the reserved, you have the sector in volume, and so many, and so many, and so many. And then you have the GUID, which is the global unique identifier. And it's a 128-bit unique reference number used as an identifier in computer softwares. Just the way you would have talked about MAC addresses. MAC addresses. How long is our MAC addresses again? Anyone, please unmute. MAC addresses are how long? Don't look at my screen, oh. MAC addresses are how long? IP address version 4 is how long?
IP address version 4 is 32.
Okay. Version 6 is gone.
128.
Okay. That's okay. MAC addresses are how long? 48-bit long. So you see so many of that. The same way you have that in the software environment also, you have the bits. The GUID is 128-bit unique reference number used to identify computer software. In general, GUID are displayed as 32 hexadecimals, right? Digits with groups separated by hyphens. You can see an example here. Let me zoom in. I'm doing this to save a lot of time. Okay. Can you see my screen now? Can you see the screen? I just zoomed in. I want to be sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. Hello?
Yes, sir, we can see
Yes, I
your
can see
screen.
your screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
We can see your screen. We can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so you see these numbers here. This is the GUID, 32 bits, 32 hexadecimal digits, shows that. And in the Windows registry, I used to identify common objects model, the DLLs. The DLLs are the dynamic link libraries. So for example, now, I'm going to use this as an example. If you open your C drive, you open your Windows, go straight to system 32. That's where the major actions are happening. System 32. If you go to Windows System 32, you'll see this. And if you come to the search bar and just say asterisk is a wildcard, dot DLL, right? So you see so many DLLs. DLLs, dynamic link library. They control your drivers. They control practically everything. These are libraries that are called for anytime the operating system use them. Oh, you have a software that you have programmed. Yes. By the time you run the software, it will go to system 32, call forth a function, go to registry, register himself. It will go to, backup file, keep a backup. We'll go to temporary folder, create, an information there to go inside the log file, put a log there that yes, so this software has just started working on this machine, So it drops itself, all around, right? For example, if I do this and I type percent temp percent, right? It will take me to the temporary folder. And in the temporary folder, I'll see so many things. When I installed something, when I downloaded something, everything. This is a temporary storage. Just imagine it as your cache. It's your cache memory. Now, you're seeing the GUID here, right? For these files. At the point I was installing That was 1109. I was installing Chrome, or Chrome was doing an update. Microsoft Edge was doing an update. You can see all of this. So as a forensic analyst, these are areas you would deep dive into to go and check what has happened, what is happening. As an ethical hacker or as a hacker, by the time you are finished hacking and you've gotten access, what many people do is to delete all of this or go into other areas that you can find your log files, your anywhere, try to delete, try to replace. But there's limits to what they can do, especially when they are racing against time. So as a forensic expert, if this has been deleted, for example, right, in some cases, I can pick more information from other places to try and rebuild this that was deleted. Hope I'm making sense. So that brings us to the understanding of, all of this. And if you look carefully, let me see here. If I come to config for the ethical hackers, you see I've not opened my config. So it's there. You get. But if I open it, let me open it up now. You will see databases for drivers. You see database. This database is for password. This is the SAMS database. For software, for so many entries are here, that if an attacker lays his hand on some of the information here, you just simply support the law. Okay. So now I will not forget to protect myself back by coming to security. Advanced. Okay, it's only system that has that. So I'm automatically going to remove all of these that I gave access. Okay. So that would settle that.
Sir, actually, we're not seeing what you're doing.
You're not seeing it?
Yes, sir. I can see your screen.
Yes, we're not seeing your screen. Yeah.
So I've been talking to myself all along. Sorry about that. Wow, that is serious. Okay, let me share the whole screen again. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Okay, this was where I was. I came here, system 32. From system 32, I opened the config folder. So while I was trying to open it by way of security configuration, it has been defaultly configured that no one should have direct access, right? So you don't currently have permission to access this folder. But if I click continue, it gave me access to it. And I was talking about the databases, right? That if attackers gain their hands on it, they can manipulate. Passwords are stored here. They can extract passwords from the SAMS database, from your ethical hacking essentials. They can do so many things. So as a digital forensic expert, they have played around with it. By the time a forensic person gets there, he needs to analyze all of this. Now, analyzing all of this doesn't mean that the information is just stored in one place. No, you have so many things that are linked together to ensure that this guy is operational, right? This takes care of the drivers on the system, right? And I was talking about the DLL files when I think you saw the image up to that point, asterisk.dll, right? Because that's what actually brought me here, right?
Yes.
Exactly. The DLL files are the dynamic link like libraries that are linked to whatever operations, certificates, so many operations that the system is carrying out, printer, anything it wants to carry out. The DLL files can be called forth, to carry out an assignment and be used. Now, as they can be called forth, an attacker can replace a DLL file, right? Can attach a worm or a virus to that DLL files and make it misbehave and make it malfunction, and they come in different forms. You must have talked about that with ethical hacking essentials. Advanced ethical hacking, yes, you look into some other aspects of this, but at this level, that's basically what it is. So this config file now, I shouldn't be able to just open it like this anyhow, right? I opened it because I want to show us, but in order to still stay secure, I would have to go back to my properties, and I'm going to, wait a minute, I'm going to remove this user. I just want to leave administrative users. Now, this action I'm carrying out now is a defensive action, right? It's a defensive action. So you see it, this is my username here. I'm going to remove it. So I want to leave it in trusted installers. I want to leave it in the care of systems. I want to leave it in super administrator, right? And then also the creator.
I'm not,
So if I click, you said what?
we're not seeing that.
The
We're not seeing.
pop-up, you think we don't see any pop-up basically. So
Oh,
we
wait a
can only
minute.
see
Let
the
me check this.
config.
I'm sharing my whole screen.
Yes, we can see where the config is, but I think you were expecting us to say pop after maybe right clicking on something. Yeah. Nothing else is popping up.
Okay, what can you see now at the moment?
Yeah, we can
Just,
see your system 32.
yes.
Only the system 32.
Like we can see, yeah,
Yeah.
we can see the folders in there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me stop sharing and reshare. Thank you for that observation. I'm sharing the entire screen. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see that.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Exactly. So after right clicking on the config file, I went to advanced. It brought me to the advanced security settings. Okay, let me do that again. Yeah. Config, property, security, advanced. And after getting here, this is my username. I don't want my user to have an access. I want only administrator, trusted installers, system, and creator. And if I want to limit it only to trusted installer, why not? I'll just limit it there. Do you get? So this action or this thing I'm doing now, it's a defensive action. It's part of what you will do more in the defensive class, right? But as a security person, as a digital forensic person, right? If I'm carrying out the forensics, I need to look deeper into this and check who had access to this, right? And then report those information should in case maybe there was an attack, right? And what time did they have access to it? That having that time will take me to the event logs, which is a different ball game entirely. We might still touch a bit about that. So apply, yes, 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 yes. I want it, yes, 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 yes. Might take some time, but yes, why not? It's trying to enumerate. Okay. It will do all of that, and voila, it's done. If I try to open it again, you see it. That's a defensive action there. So that makes you a network defender, basically. So you can practice this with your own individual systems in there. But note, everything is interlinked together. So in some instances, a website may gain access to the GUID to a user's browser to record and track the sessions. That's why they will want you to click links, phishing links and so many links, that will draw you in and be able to, they will use that to get a reverse shell into your machine. Okay. And then as a forensic person, yes, you can go through that path, check the profile information, check the time, check so many things. If I come here and type events viewer, you can see this. The moment this opens, you see it has different aspects. You have the custom views, right? Where you have all the administrative events, you have the Windows logs. You see it. So now, if you look at this now, I'm seeing the events that has happened in some few times that my system has been on. So you see number of events 8,238. Then the event ID, right? You see warning, errors. Let me open one of the warnings. The network list manager reports no connectivity to the internet. Yeah. So at a point, my system was not connecting to the internet. What time did that happen? 2:40. That's some minutes ago. And that we can link that to when you were not hearing me again, right? And this is because it's real time and it's happening now. And then you're seeing the error also, right? The kernel error, 2 sessions. Microsoft Windows, blah, 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 failed to start the following and with the error code. And one beautiful thing is this, with this error code, let's say I don't know anything about this thing, right? I could literally copy this error code and go to my browser. I would go to my browser and I will research about it. You can see it. It will give me more information about it, what happened. And then now, what is it saying? Oh, if you don't encounter functional problems, you can try troubleshooting steps like running Windows Update Troubleshooter, right? Running the system file checker. This is one of the hanging tools that we play around with. So let me do that. We can run that by the side. Yeah, we still have this, our guy running. Wow. It's a long one. You see this? You still remember this guy, right?
Yes, we do.
Exactly. So you can see looking for bad clusters. Why? That hard disk is actually, I think, is it 1 terabyte? Is it 1 terabyte or?
Yeah,
And
it's
the
1
receipt
terabyte.
is 1 terabyte. Yes, you can see it has knocked it out, right? Because it's still working on it. You can see it is 1 terabyte. But I used to have 2 terabyte also. So it's definitely going to take time. If it was 256, now it will have finished by now. So let it enjoy itself. I'm using this to to take care of my system too. And the other one I mentioned now, which is the SFC system file checker, it will check the quality of life that your system is having also. SFC slash scan now, right? The moment you do this, the system will start scanning. It's an inbuilt tool for system file checking. It will check whether your operating system is still in good shape. That is, if the original files are still there, And there's one we used to use back then, which is what's the name again? Or Microsoft software remover tool. That one is for malware remover, as the case will be. Now, why do you do all of these things? You want to check that the original files that came with Windows are still intact, right? That is, a malware has not played tricks on it, or something has not, affected it. And if it has affected it, it will try to repair it. Do you get? If it has replaced it, it might ask you to bring the installation disk. And that's why sometimes when you are doing all of this, sometimes your system might be logging. You might not be able to log in again after some times, but it's just part of those things. Okay, so you still come across more of this, and you can play around with them. K, guided partition table, GPT. I mentioned this yesterday, whereby the disk is divided into different portions, and it's using the more recent framework, which is different from the MBR, which is the UEFI. It replaces the legacy BIOS firmware, that used to exist back in the days. Okay, UEFI is a specification that defines a software interface between an operating system and platform firmware, right? There is I used to say this humorously, to every hardware, there is a software, right? Somebody that is 6 foot tall, even though nowadays it happens, but somebody that is 6 foot tall will not go to a tailor's shop and sew 3 feet shirt. No, you can sew 3 feet shirts, But imagine that he's imagining that the 3 fish heads will cover him from head to toe. It's not going to work, you know. So the same goes for the hardware and the software. So hardware, there's a 32-bit hardware, there's a 32-bit software. There's a 64-bit hardware, there's a 64-bit software. A 32-bit hardware, a 32-bit software can work effectively on 32-bit hardware and 64-bit software, 64-bit hardware. But a 64-bit software cannot sit on a 32-bit hardware. It's not going to just match, right? A 64-bit software can sit on a 64-bit hardware. So that compatibility must exist for those things to interoperate. And we call that interoperability, right? And that's what gave birth to what we have had at the beginning, which is the OSI model. You know, the OSI model is what manufacturers following the ISO standards, must manufacture any electronic IT device, any digital electronic device. They must follow that pattern and ensure that it follows, that. Now we've had deviations over the years. There are people that say they want to stand out. They don't want to follow some certain things, Yeah, when that technology goes around, we will adopt it. But as it is now, OSI is the thing. And the OSI is coming from the ISO standards. It uses a partition scheme or system known as GUID partition table, which is GPT, which replaces the traditional MBR. What are the advantages of this disk layout? It supports up to 128 partitions. Did you get that? So if I have 128 terabytes, I can divide it into 1 terabyte each. Logical block addresses. Supports a maximum partition size ranging from 2 terabytes to 8 terabytes. Provides primary and backup partition table for redundancy. So that's what you saw yesterday. Let me open that again, but I'm not going to open it the way I opened it yesterday. Windows X, and then I'm going to my device manager. Or Windows X again, sorry. I'm not going to device manager. Windows X again, I'm going to the disk management. All right. So there are so many ways to do that, It's opening up. You see an example of a GPT file system. Okay. Guided partition table. Connecting to virtual disk. Yeah, this might be taking time because of the scan that is ongoing. Okay, I'll still leave it by the side so that we'll keep talking around it. So you see all of this, LBA0, LBA1, 2, 3, all the way to 34, and all its breakdown. Okay, so that helps us understand that of Windows. We're going straight to understanding various file systems, just exactly what we did with Windows. Now, with Linux and a bit of Mac OS. But the most operating system widely used by many end users is Windows. What's the booting process? Booting refers to starting of or restarting an OS when the user turns on a computer. It loads the OS stored in the hard disk to the RAM, which is the working memory. So we have two types of booting. It's either you hard boot or you soft boot. It is the process of starting a computer from a powered down off state. So you did not hibernate, basically. It is the process of restarting a computer that is already turned on. You're working, all of a sudden, internet is not going, and you feel that, okay, it's people from village, and you decided that, let me just quickly restart it, Jare. Maybe it's head card. I remember many people back in the days, we used to have this belief that if you, oh boy, see my desktop, oh, we used to have this belief that if you come and right click and say refresh, right click and say refresh, you refresh so many times or press F5. That will help. We didn't know that we were punishing ourselves then. Okay, so if you look at this now, you will see this our other disk is still scanning. That's why you can't see any information yet. So, but you see disk 2, right? Disk 2 is using a GPT kind of partitioning scheme, right? You see 100 MB EF file system partition, and then I have the real partition itself. It has a healthy primary partition, and then also has a healthy recovery partition. This recovery is very, very important, that in case so all of these ones here, they crash, the information we will use to recover is stored here, and as digital forensic experts, we can use this particular information here to recover the whole drive, even if the drive is not coming on. Now the drive not coming on has two different arrangements. There is a not coming on that is linked to software, right? There's a not coming on that is linked to hardware. So if it is transistors, resistors, thyristors, or any of the store that has gotten bad, a replacement of that must happen before you can do that. Now, there are advanced ways of doing those recovery, whereby you might not need to, we call it destructive recovery, whereby you have a specialized machine. The moment you carry the chip, the main chip, that is running that particular disk, the moment you carry that chip and insert it into that machine, it will recover everything from the day one that particular operating system, the hardware was built, basically. So that is that. So that's just basic about that. So essential Windows file systems. Okay, I can see somebody's hand is up. Nathaniel.
So before you just continue, my question is, please, what is that? Is it, like you said, is it a software that is used to recover all those files, please?
There are so many of them, and they come with the forensic toolkit. For example, you can use FTK Imager to recover a file from a disk. That's a software type. The hardware is actually an embedded system machine that is built with a microcontroller that helps in extracting data from burnt disk or disks that are not working. But that one, you have to detach the chip, the memory chip. You have to detach it and then work on it. Okay, so these are some of the Windows file systems, right? You see them, something.exe. This takes us back to the System32 that we were in the other time, Windows System32. Okay, in System32, just type *.exe, and lo and behold, every exe you're looking for, you see them? Every exe you're looking for is here. So what attackers seek to do, oh, this is lovely, MRT. If I double click on this, for example, you see the Microsoft Remover tool come up. You can see it. I think it came on now. Look at this. This is for malware scanning. Can you see it? Hello? Please, am I still audible?
Yes, sir, we can see it. We can see it.
Okay,
I can see
so
it.
this is the Microsoft Remover tool. Exactly. Quick scan, full scan, that will quickly check. And if you have the updated one, fine. This is the user account control settings, the UAC. Anytime you double click and it's asking you this kind of yes or no question, this is what is doing all of that. And so many, and so many. Let me see if I can sort them by name. If I sort them by name, AA is in one place. Let's look at this is the one we are looking for here. Oh, I've passed though. I'm on you already. Kidude. Okay. NTO, sorry. Look at this. This is the file that is being mentioned here. You see it? That's the executive kernel, right? And so on and so forth. So many they are for the Windows file systems. So you can play around with that. Let me minimize this and maximize this. So that's that. The essential file system, get to know what they are for. HAL, hardware abstraction layer, kernel mode part of the Windows Win32 subsystem. Nowadays, you will hear that, oh, okay, you can have Linux running on Windows. Yeah, it's a very simple process. Come to Microsoft Store, and once you get to the store, just search for the Linux of your kind. So I'm looking at Ubuntu, for example. And if I say you should get it, look at it, it's showing you this. Install a complete Ubuntu terminal, right? Environment in minutes with what? Windows subsystem for Linux. Windows subsystem for Linux. You will see that operable here. That's what I just mentioned here. Win32 subsystems, these are file systems that helps to carry all of that, and all of these two, they all work hand in hand. Win32 subsystem DLL files, kernel, user, GDI, they're very, very straightforward. The boot process starts from the BIOS straight into the MBR, from the MBR into the VBR, which is the volume boot record. From there, you have the NT boot sector. From there, straight to the boot exe manager, right? At this point now, you have two different segments or sessions where you have the BCD and the winload.exe. Most times it loads into the winload.exe, right? Now, this option happens when you hibernated your system. The moment you get to the boot manager, it will check, this is like a flow chart, basically. It will check if it is a new start. If it's a new start, it goes straight to winload.exe and goes through that process. If it is a resumption, maybe you hibernated or you slept, it will do windows resume.exe, right? And then it gets all the information from the boot configuration data. And then for the winload, it takes you to our nost earn kernel.exe, right? It has the phase 0 and phase 1 process. The phase 0 initializes from BIOS and initializes its kernel itself. The phase 1 brings up the hardware abstraction layer, checking all the other aspects that are connected there, and then goes straight to the SMSSE. Then you have the win login.exe. After the win login.exe, it goes straight to the LSES, right? At this point now, there were times that attackers created malware, picking from ethical hacking class now, created malware that will bear this name, winlogon.exe, or created malware that will bear this name, elsas.exe. But there were tricks to it. Instead of using capital letter L, for some of them they will use I. For some of them they will use capital letter I. For some of them they will use small letter L. And play around. The same thing too with win logon. You will see win logon that will be maybe W1N. It will be hard for you to notice it, and they will create it with the properties of the real one in such a way that the moment probably you clicked on a flash drive or you downloaded it from the internet, anyhow you got it into your system, the moment you activate that particular thing, its work is to first come and render the original one useless. When it renders the original ones useless, it will now replace it with the fake one, because they want to use the fake one to be able to extract information from you. So if you go ahead and type let's say you are not sure of what must have happened, and you go ahead and type this, right? I think I typed this earlier, right? System file checker, right? It will check the critical files that are already on that system. This is from a defensive standpoint now, from a forensic standpoint, when you are investigating, you will need to check, wait a minute, this and this has been affected. From a forensic standpoint, you are not to run SFC because you want to be able to gather evidence, right? Basically, from a forensic standpoint, you have to extract the information and go and start watching them. So, but this is giving you an idea of what you need to watch out for and what you need to look out for, right? So that's just basics about that for that process. Okay, I'm going to go with the speed of light. Yes, we've been here identifying the MBR partitions. Yeah, you see all of this. Yes, going to properties and the boot process for UEFI GPT. It's not totally different from what you had before, but it's different because of its own process of booting, and how efficient it is. CPU in protected mode, you have the SEC, the PEI, the DXE, the BDS, and then the RT. Now, the SEC initializes the firmware. Now, what's the firmware? The firmware is the hardware that the operations of a particular device is written into it. Now, you can think of the firmware like it's a word I'm looking for. If your phone has issues, you go to Computer Village and say you want to flash it, Abi. What you are flashing is that firmware. And that firmware was built with a whole lot of things in mind, right? They built it with what we call the EEPROM, which has grown over the years. We have the EEPROM. We have the triple EEPROM, right? What's the EEPROM? Erasable programmable read-only memory. So older devices, they had this, right? After a while, technology grew. We have electrically erasable, programmable, read-only memory. And you remember yesterday we were talking about volatility and non-volatility, right? It's not a volatile memory. So you can wipe it and write another one on it, as the case is, depending on the architecture of the hardware. And then finally, we now have the electrically erasable, programmable, and you have so many, like that. So that's where the firmware comes in, right? And then it keeps moving on, initializes at the low level hardware, it loads and executes into the EFI drivers. Then you now have the GPT, whether your hard drive is formatted with the GPT or the MBR partitioning scheme, and then it calls into the bootloader, and then the early OS kernel is initialized. Once that happens, the operating system comes up and the system, shows you. And when the system shows you, you have access to the process, have access to the kernel processes. And those are the things that happens behind the scene. Identifying the GUID partition, I think we've seen this already, right? But this time around, this was done through the PowerShell, right? You can use that command get dash GPT dash path then slash slash. It will give you the same information that you saw when we went to the disk manager. Okay, so that's that. Okay, yeah, something like this. That's what they're going to see. Okay, let me quickly. I'm doing this because of time. Then good. As a forensic expert, you are looking for artifacts. This is the area that concerns you the most, right? So you have GPT artifacts. Case one, if the MBR disk is repartitioned or converted to GPT, then sector 0 will generally be overwritten with a protective MBR. Now, this case scenario is such that, let's take a case scenario of a flash drive. You have copied something on a flash drive before, and I come and meet you. I say, please borrow me this flash drive. I want to use it to copy something else. Now, there are two things I can do. If there is enough space in the flash, I can copy to the flash and go and use it without tampering with anything. But whatsoever makes me to format, the content of that flash or to wipe that flash, I am literally rewriting to what? Sector 0. Do you get? In the case of HDD, I'm literally rewriting to sector 0. To recover data from previously MBR partition volume,
We can't hear you, sir.
investigators. Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
We can
Can
hear
you
you. I
hear me
think
now?
I can hear you.
we can hear you, sir. We can hear you, sir. You can proceed.
Okay, you can hear me now. I was busy trying to tweak and see. Okay, so basically, right, to recover data from previously MBR partition volumes, investigators can use standard forensic methods used to perform an extensive search for that file system. It's file system specific now. Case 2, if the GPT disk is repartitioned on a or converted to MBR. Now, make the English no they did too much. Let me still do my Windows X, and I'm coming to computer management. Let me verify what we did, what we set ablaze the other time. So our SFC scan now is telling me that Windows Resource Protection did not find any integrity violation. So it means I'm safe. Now that safe still has comma. So you can see that the information is telling you that it's safe. What of if the virus has taken over the system to the point that it has taken over the function of SFC? So this might be a false positive. As a security expert, you have to think, outside the box. So I'm going to close that. Let me check our check disk. Our check disk is still ongoing. Cleaning, blah, blah, blah. I'm still going to mention back about that. I'm multitasking. Okay, so I wanted to come back here so that we'll see something. Connecting to virtual disk. Yeah, I'll let it come up. Okay, while it's still coming up, I can continue my talk. Okay, so that's that. If the GPT disk is repartitioned to converted to MBR, then the GPT header and the file table may remain intact based on the tools that you use. This is the main point I'm saying. I was saying yesterday. Oh, okay. I used to be a photographer back in the days. We'll snap pictures and put it on a memory card. And if you are lucky, you bought a fake memory card and you want to print, you get to the place. There's no picture there. Or you try to open it. It's reading one kind English you don't understand. Back in the days, they will bring those devices. You plug it, you go and download something recover or recover or something. You try to use it. You run so many of those softwares, it might not recover anything. Why? Because it was a stateless, storage. But not recover anything. But most times when they bring it to me, because I have advanced tools that can do bit level manipulations and bit level recovery, right? It should realign and rearrange everything. Now, in some cases, when it realigns and rearrange everything, it does not, collate them together. So you will now be the one back in the days, you will now be the one to now arrange those evidences back together yourself. So you might just recover it back in scattered forms. You will be the one that will go and pick GUID from registry. You'll be the one that will bring DLL and arrange it. But there are some tools nowadays that are advanced that they will help you to collate that. And if they don't get everything complete, they will tell you what is missing. And then you can look into recreating that so that, or you create something that's similar so that you can get the real picture of what was there before. Implementation of a general partition deletion tool on a GPT disk might only delete the protective MBR, which can be recreated by simply reconstructing the disk. This is what I'm explaining now. As per UEFI specification, if all the fields in a partition entry are zeroed, it implies that the entry is not in use. In this case, data recovery from deleted GID partition is not possible. Now that takes us to what encryption tools does. Do you get? So you have a BitLocker. If BitLocker has been turned on, to recover from that part, it's going to be a long process. It's possible, but it's not possible if you don't get the right information correctly. Okay, let's see this. That guy is still on 96. Okay, this is our guy. So now here, if I right click, look at this. Who can tell me what you're seeing there? Just to be sure.
Convert to dynamic
Convert to
disk.
dynamic disk.
Convert to dynamic.
So which type of partition scheme is it running at the moment? Anyone?
GPT.
No, it can't be GPT again. The GPT is the one that is the dynamic. It's currently running. You see underneath here, the convert to MBR is grayed out. Right? Hello, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, we are here.
Convert to MBR disk is grayed out. So you can only convert to dynamic disk.
MBR.
Now, just seeing this information, I already know that, yes, this particular disk is MBR. Right? That's why it's asking me to convert to dynamic. And if I try to convert to dynamic, it's going to wipe everything that is on that disk. I'm not sure I'm ready to do that. If I right click again, you see this? This is a GPT disk, not a basic MBR. Why is he reading it as GPT? Because this is still happening to it. Look at this. This is still happening to it. Right? Until it finishes this, before it can give you that information. So, but it's treating it as though it's just like that. This final one, you see it, is an MBR disk. So these are ways to know them beyond, what is written. So the GUID identifiers, the GPT scheme provides GUIDs of investigative values as they are unique and hold potentially useful information within them. GUID possesses unique identifying information for both disks and individual partitions. Investigators can use tools such as UUID to decode various versions of GUID. Hidden information on GPT disk. Intruders may hide data on GPT disk as they do it on traditional MBR disk. Locations on GPT disk where data may be hidden are inter-partition gaps. Like I mentioned at the beginning, a slack space can be used by an attacker, and that's where, as forensic experts, those are areas that you need to look into. Now, when I say look into it, you have to sit in front of a system, in front of a tools, and understand binary to its depth and be able to read in between the lines. There's limits to what softwares can do for you, but you need to be able to understand and be able to read in between the lines. Location of GPT disk, blah, blah, blah. Current forensic methods and tools to perform GPT analysis are what? Unsatisfactory. So it's still knowledge. Yes, you can run the tools. The tools will give you an idea, but it is your in-depth knowledge, your advanced knowledge that will help you to be able to add 2 plus 2, 1 plus 1, and be able to make sense out of, those things. Macintosh boot process. Yes. So you have the OS loader, the boot code, the application, the driver, right? For the OS loader, boot services are terminated. Operation is handed over to the OS loader directly. And then for boot code, boots from the ordered list of EFI OS loaders is executed. So if you have ever dual booted before, you understand what bootloader is talking about here. We used to call it, or it is called, the grub loader. Yeah, it's called the grub loader. You can see this, Grand Unifier bootloader, blah, blah, blah. This allows multi operation of multiple operating systems. It can help you to boot Windows and all of this together, Windows, Linux, and as the case may be. Drivers and applications are loaded iteratively, that is one after the other. And then standard firmware platform initialization. So, and look out for the EFI binaries, boot manager, value-added implementation, and so on and so forth. That's what you see there. And you see its own location, right? You would see the bootloader loads a pre-linked version of the kernel located at where? /systems/libraries /cache/.com/apple. It's not that if I log out now, you will not be able to see me again, But on I have about 6 operating systems. I use Zorin OS, I use Kali, I use so many operating systems, basically. So I would have shown you, that. Okay, so but to save time, you can check all of those out. The Linux boot process is not totally different from what we have. The only difference is you would see from here, after it has done the post. Who can remind me what the post is again? Anyone? Who can remind me what the post is? Oh, hope you are still hearing me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, someone should unmute and speak. What's the post again? I've mentioned it earlier.
Self-test.
Good. That's the power and self-test, where the system is checking itself, check the RAM, check the CPU, check that his head is correct, and is ready for the work that is ahead, So when this runs and is successful, right, it calls from the BIOS. The BIOS search for the MBR. The MBR points to the loader. The bootloader creates a small mini RAM disk and loads these two guys, the initial RD and then the image, and the kernel mounts the virtual root file systems and runs, and this comes up. But if the bootloader, just in the case of the system went to sleep, right? That's this I'm explaining. If the system is booting for the first time, it goes through this route, right? And then it mounts the file system, then initialize the processes, and then you have the system daemons, not demons, oh, system daemons, and it brings them up. So it's categorized into 3 major stages. You have the BIOS stage, the bootloader stage, and the kernel stage. So that's pretty much more different. Now, there are informations here, hidden here. So you see it just like that of Windows. You have the /etc / initialization tab. This is where the drivers are loaded from the kernel, right? And so on and so forth. Still on Windows file system, file allocation table, I've mentioned it. 1.5, FAT12, the cluster limits. These are information you can, digest. FAT16, FAT32, EOF means end of file. That is not going to go beyond, that particular stuff. And back in those days, we have what we call the DOS, disk operating system. The NTFS, yeah. This is the architecture of the NTFS. You see this. We've talked about this earlier, so I would just speed up on that. So what's the time? Okay, I want to ensure that I'm still within time. Yep, good. I'm going to use this to explain again. So you're seeing NTFS file system here. And if you check the scanning that has been ongoing, you will see something similar here coming up, right? Especially when it came to the cleaning of unused index entry. You can see that $SII, $SDH, right? That is how it shows its own information. dollar attribute depth, blah, 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 dollar bad clusters, dollar blah, blah. Exactly. Sorry, is that dollar or ampersand? It's dollar. Yeah. So, and if you're used to programming, it's going to be much easier. And then you have the EFS, which is the encrypting file system. It was introduced in version 3.0, another file system level encryption. The encryption technology maintains a level of transparency to the user who encrypted the files, which means there's no need for users to decrypt the files to access it to make changes. After a user is done with the file, the encryption policy is automatically restored. So it's an automated thing. When an unauthorized user tries to access an encrypted file, they are denied access, basically. Like you saw when I was trying to open the config.config file, Okay, to enable the encryption and decryption facilities, a user must set the encryption attributes of the files and the folders they wish to encrypt or decrypt. And you see information here. This is a whole different environment entirely. This will take you into cryptography, different types of encryptions, different method of encryptions, depending on the tools you're using. It's way deeper than this. But at this level, just understand that, yes, you have encrypting file systems that are used for operating system boot up. Okay, at this point, I think I would just give us a quick break. What's the time now? So let's kindly go for a 15-minute break. We'll reconvene back by 4:45. If anyone have any questions, I can take that before going or while during the break. The break doesn't mean you travel out. You can take coffee, you can enter your kitchen, and but don't forget me in your kitchen also. So as you're taking there, send it to the group chat. Okay.
What
Are
about we
there
that
any
were in
questions?
school?
He said?
What about people that are in school that don't have kitchen?
People that are in school that didn't have kitchen, you have cafeteria now, or you have that Iyabasira. That Iyabasira by the corner. Quickly rush, go get her. Or if you are closer to your pillow, just hug the pillow. Don't worry, very soon.
Okay, sir.
This one too shall pass. Okay, 15 minutes it is. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Okay, hope we enjoyed our break. Are we all back? If you are still in the kitchen, say hi. Drop an emoji.
Hi.
If you have come back from Basira, okay. I can see your hand up, Timothy. You have a question? Okay. Okay, Timothy, go ahead. You have a question.
No, I don't have a question, sir.
Oh, okay. I just saw your hand up. Okay, that's fine. So let me see. You can still see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
I can't see your screen.
Huh?
I can't see your screen, sir.
You might need to refresh from your site. Maybe that would help. Okay, is everybody back here?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be having just a quick quiz. 1 minute. Sorry, can you hear me? I want to drop something on the group so that everyone can see.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Okay. So can you see that? Kindly type that into your browser and use the code to join. I have 25 people on the call. Can you see what I dropped in the chat box? Type it into your browser and it will request for the gaming code.
But we can't see your screen.
No, I'm not sharing my screen at the moment. Check the chat box. I dropped something there. The moment you type that, it will request for the code. Are you there, please?
I'm seeing three options. It's a quiz class, live student quiz platform, practice test. Which of them should I go for?
I'm coming. Let me see. Live what?
Quizzes class, live student quiz platform, practice test.
No, the moment you type joinmyquiz.com, it will ask you for
Mm.
the code. The moment you enter the code, it will ask you for your name. So you enter your name.
It didn't ask me that. I just opened the platform.
Open a browser and check again. It's meant to ask you for the name. Who is facing the same challenge as he? Yeah, I can see people joining already.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Same thing. Same. Give me three options. Digital quiz for students.
Check another browser. I'm already seeing people joining. Mohammed Badmos, Akin, Salman, Rashidin. I'm seeing so many people joining already.
Let me try Chrome. Actually, I was using my
So I can't find it on the chat box.
You said? I have 9
I
people
can't
that
find
have
it on the
joined now.
chat. I can't find it on my chat. My chat box is saying it's giving me like you are no longer a participant.
Oh, that's what it's showing you.
Yes.
Use another browser. Use another browser from your device, either your phone or something. I'm seeing 9 people. Please identify there are 25 people on the call. So let's say there are 20 people. I have 10 people already. Please join up because of time. Yeah, sorry about that, Eric. Your device died. Don't worry. I have 10 people already on the call. Please, who has not joined? I see Joshua, I see Nathaniel, I see Salman, I see Akin, I see Mohammed. I see Emmanuel, I see Okpeyemi, I see Olaide, I see Joshua, I see Olamide. Who else is here that has not joined yet? Bright, I can't see you. I see Olamide. Niniola, I can't see you. I don't know the Joshua I'm seeing. Yeah, I can't see Joshua Eina Guina. Sorry if I murdered the name or I fathered the name, anyone. Olaide, I can't see you. Olaide, I can't see you. Mustafa, I can't see you. Salman, I see you. Onyechi Gilbert, I'm not seeing you. Dorcas, has everybody been able to join? If you're having issues joining, kindly let me know so that I can start. In the next 4 minutes, I'm going to start. And the moment I start, nobody can join again. Oh, so sorry about that, Mustafa. Please attend to him. Health is more important. By the time you come for further classes, we'll discuss so many other things. So can always get on with that. Yeah, so I'm exempting Mustafa. Okay, it's stable now. Oh, yeah. The link has been dropped already. Let me drop it again. This is it. Just type that into your browser. Join my quiz. Join my quiz.com. The number is 278343. Yeah, 11. I can see that. Yes. Kujore Grace is in. Correct. Kenny, you're welcome. Please double it up. We have just a few minutes to start the quiz. It's going to be intensive. It's just grouped into 2 teams. So you'll be able to see that 28 persons. That makes sense. Please join up. Okay. I see that 2 minutes left to join. Please join up. No, don't use this link. Just use the joinmyquiz.com. That's what it should show you. Okay, yes, I can see that /join. I think it can work too also, yeah. So that it doesn't redirect you to start registering. You don't need to register. Let me see if I can see you now. Yeah, the number is increasing. I have 15 people. Olaide. Which name did you use, Olaide? Yes, I can see Olaide now. Yeah, Olaide is here. Chisom Ubatu is here. Okay, please join up. 16 persons. Mustafa Lawa, welcome. Join up. I have 28 on the call. 16 have joined. It's just to make it more interactive and make it more fun. Okay, please join up, join up, join up. Exactly 1 minute left to join. Once I hit the start button, you might not be able to join again. Are we all set now?
So
We're
what do
racing
I do?
against time.
I'm on it. I'm just
Yep.
doing
Wait for them to
boy.
finish. If you are unable to join, just wait for them to finish.
I've joined, but I'm unable
Okay.
to see any other stuff on the default screen.
He said,
I'm only seeing the default screen. I can't do something else, but I've already joined.
sorry, I can't hear you clearly.
Waiting for the host to start. That's the page I'm on.
Refresh your page then. Because we started already.
On my screen, like the screen is blank.
Or that might be your network. Sorry about that. Just restart. But I know your team members will be doing great. Because it's actually a team thing for those that joined. I think it's 8-8 by the team. If your team member misses one question, it brings down the mark. Yes, T-Rex, I see you guys. Grumpy monkeys, what's happening? Oh yeah, bring it up, grumpy monkeys. Let's go there, T-Rex. What's happening? What's happening? Yes, 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 grumpy monkeys, you're coming up. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Charge yourself up, your team members. You can do it. You can do it. Grumpy monkeys. T-Rex, what are you people using? What are you people using? T-Rex. Here's what we discussed in class. Grumpy monkeys, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Oh, yeah, 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 come up, come up, come up, come up. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Yes, that's coming up, that's coming up. I see you. Yeah, you've been giving some redemption.
Mine, no. Grumpy
Yes, you're doing
monkeys.
it as a team. So there are some redemptive options also to review some.
Oh yeah, our team member continue. I beg, make we win. No.
Yes, it's coming up. I see Grumpy Monkeys is coming up.
Discuss in detail regarding evidence collection.
So it's about speed and accuracy. Then you have redemption time.
The model includes detecting and investigating.
Yes, Grumpy Monkeys is coming up. We just have like another 7 to 8 minutes left.
Then suspicious words open. With analysis type. Quick money analysis. I don't know him. I'm not going to type on choose on that thing. The model ends with a discussion.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
The model ends
You can
with
still do it. Grumpy monkeys. Team Rex, well done. T-Rex, sorry. I can see it's coming up. You are using your redemptive questions correctly.
comment in detail in this one model related to the web browser.
A bit tricky though, but it's just one of it.
According to the model summary, which of the following is not discussed in detail?
Yeah, grumpy monkeys are coming up.
That's not which tools I've mentioned. Detecting steganography. In this model's detailed discussion. Ebuna, you hear me? Even someone they wrong. I get the team where I did with we did 70. No, me, I get 70% of the questions.
We can hear you. You got 70% of the questions.
The team got 70%, but I knew that I was just reading and attending to
4 minutes. 4 minutes
echo.
left.
Okay. It's just a minor injury. I had already warned him not to get on bike today. He refused.
So can we do this again? Wasn't able to join.
No, don't worry. When you people come to class, there's still so much to be unveiled. Do you get? So it's still in track.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, 3 minutes left. You guys are doing well. Grumpy monkeys are coming up. The Rex also. I've sure say yes. We no go green. Yes, grumpy monkeys are coming up. You're using your redemptive options correctly. Two minutes left. Can grumpy monkeys still make it? Yes, they're coming up. They're coming up. 1 minute left. Try harder, try harder, try harder. 40 seconds left. 30 seconds left. 20 seconds left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. T-Rex, congratulations. Congratulations to T-Rex. You guys did well. Grumpy Monkeys also, you guys tried. It's a good thing that we're seeing that. And what that simply means is, yes, there are so many things ahead for us. The contributors, from what I'm seeing here, okay, so sorry. I was clicking another place. Okay. So I can see from here, Akin, Chisom, Mustafa, Onyechi, Muhammad, Okpeyemi, Olaide, Kenny, Okipolo, Salman, Joshua, Nathaniel, the second Joshua, Olamide, Omolola, and Kujar Grace. Everyone tried their own part. Congratulations. That's a good one. It's a good one. Okay, so let's proceed as we don't have much time on our sides again. But I'm going to, majority of all I need to say has been said, We're just going to proceed. Let me zoom in with this. Okay. Are there any questions? Sorry, can you still hear me? Hello, am I still audible?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear
Okay,
you.
yeah. I wanted a feedback. How was it? Was it hard? Was it?
It was fine.
Okay. So you'll be getting more of that in class when you come to class full time. So let me just quickly scroll down through the remaining part. We're talking about hard disk and all of that. Okay. So over here now, we're talking about understanding data acquisition fundamentals. We're going to discuss different types of data acquisition, determine the data acquisition format, and understand data acquisition methodology. We've looked into, different file formats, different, stuff, and all of that for Windows. We spoke more on Windows. Yeah. As you come for other classes, we'll look deeper into other aspects also. For Linux, we have the APFS, which is for Mac, which is the Apple file system. You have the ext5. You have there are so many file formats with their different characteristics and why they are used. So for data acquisition, raw format creates a bit by bit copy. I mentioned it earlier. When you have a disk that was attacked, for example, and you want to carry out a forensic investigation on it, you need to clone that disk, right? It is better to do a bit by bit, copying, but before you do that, you ensure you prepare the device you want to clone it into. Most time it's already in the forensic toolkit. And what are the advantages of doing that? Faster data transfer, minor data read error on source drive, read by most of the forensic tools. Disadvantages, it requires same amount of storage as that of the original media. So if the media that was attacked was 1 terabyte, right? By the time you want to work on it, you can't go and get 512 and say it's going to work. Yeah, it's just the play, In fact, it's always even recommended by professionals over the years. If what was attacked was 1 terabyte, it's better to get maybe like a 4 terabyte, especially if you want to do deep level recovery or deep level cloning for deep level analysis, because from the initial clone you can decide to extract so many other information from that, which you won't be copying around from one flash drive to another, but that is not even professional. So storage is one of the things you deal with at forensics. Most tools use are open source, and most of them might fail. The other ones are professional ones, which are paid, commercial forensic tools, you have to pay for it. FTK Imager, Encase, so many. There are so many of that. Determining the data acquisition format. Advanced forensic format is a open source acquisition format with the following design goals in view. There's no size limitation for disk to image files. So disk to image file happens when you clone a particular disk and put it in an image form, like we've said before. Then we have advanced forensic framework 4. It's a redesign and revision of the AAF to manage and use large amount of disk images, reducing both acquisition time and storage time. And that's why it looks as though, oh, okay, let me use this as example. Sorry, I have to use that case, a Mobad case. You will hear, why are they delaying on justice? Blah, 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 blah. To gather forensic investigation, to do forensic investigation is not a day's job. It takes a lot of time. So, and you must be ready for that. You look at a whole lot of volumes, streams, and graphs, and abstract information models that allow storage of disk image data. All of these are very, very important. By the time you get your material, it would speak more. So, for example, I'm seeing this advanced forensic formats. AFF has simple design and is accessible through multiple computing platforms and OSs. What does it support? It supports the zlib, which is faster but less efficient, and also the LZMA, which is slower but more efficient. This is more commonly used, in that case. Understanding data acquisition methodology. Now, you don't just acquire data like that. Like we mentioned earlier, you must not be there, and go and tamper with evidence. So you have to bear that in mind. Looking at the flowchart, you see that determine the data acquisition method you want to use, select the data acquisition tool, sanitize the target media so that you don't carry the same virus. You need to be able to isolate yourself, as an investigator. If computer is on, yes. If the computer is on and it's yes, acquire volatile data. That is data that will go away when the computer is turned off. And there are so many tools that can do that. Volatility for memory, RAM investigations. If it is a no, remove the hard disk and clone it directly. If it is a yes, the information you're going to get from a working RAM would further help you to be able to analyze, as the case is. Write protect the suspected drive so that people cannot copy to it or copy from it. Acquire non-volatile data also from your storage external from the disk that was removed. Plan for contingencies. Validate data accusation, which gives you that detail. So that is that. Determine the best data acquisition method. As an investigator, sorry, I'm taking a bit of our time. We'll be rounding up by 6, today, so that I can touch on all the other part. An investigator needs to identify the best data acquisition method suitable for investigation, depending on the situation the investigator is presented with. Note this, I mentioned it at the beginning also. Very, very important. An investigator, your scenario determines how you approach it, basically. And you see an example here. In case the original evidence drive needs to be returned to the owner, as in case of discovery demand for a civil litigation case, check with the requester, that is, must be a lawyer, whether logic acquisition of this is acceptable. If you go and give evidence out, you have somebody law as 2 portions of beans, I mean 2 portions of rice. Application layer, file system layer, partition/volume layer, then the disk layer. That's the full image. The logical or spare is those partitions that you see. So that's that about that. Select the data acquisition tool. The tool should not change the original content. This is very important. The type of tool you use. That's what I was saying the other time. Oh, you want to type SFC, you must be rest assured that you want to check for the files that were tampered with. Not that you want to repair the files that were tampered with. If you go ahead and repair, that means you are tampering with investigations. The tool should log I&O error in an accessible and readable form. The tool must have the ability to pass scientific and peer review. Very important. So if you check the rating online, you see, oh, it has done this, it has done that, or more, run away. The tool, the tool should alert the users if the source is larger than the destination. Very important. You don't want to overwrite what is there, or you want to kill the disk. Because if you are telling a 1 terabyte to clone into a 512, you want to kill the 512. So it will not allow you. A good tool will not allow you. The tool should create a bitstream copy of the original content when there are no errors in accessing the source media. The tool should also create a qualified bitstream copy. So that, you see, sanitize the target media. Why not? You need to make it clear. You need to format it. You need to prepare it and make sure that it's ready for the master's use. Okay, acquire the volatile data. Now, this is a bit tricky, but this is where the work is. Volatile data acquisition involves collecting data that is lost when the computer is shut down or restarted. This data usually corresponds to running processes, logged on users, the registry we just visited, the DLL, clipboard. Yes, you do Control C, and information is still stored there. I remember during a class, I did an example, and then eventually they were meant to hack the system I dropped, and someone that was trying to hack, I hacked the person's system with his permission though, because he was bragging. He said, "Sir, you cannot get into my system." By the time I got into his system, what he has copied on his clipboard, I simply pasted it and now sent it to him as an email. It was a funny scenario, but it's just part of those things. So as a forensic person, some of those things are there that can give you an idea of what the person probably did, for that period of time. Belka Soft Life RAM Capturer is a forensic tool that allow extracting and entire content of a computer's volatile memory. It saves the image file in .mem file. You can search that out and you'll be able to see it, come up with that. Enable write protection on media evidence. Yeah, why do you want to do that? So that somebody will not go and write into it, and then or somebody will go and copy from it. You will be the one that will have the autonomy over it. Acquiring non-volatile data can be acquired both live and dead acquisition. That is while the system is on or while the system is off, or remotely, as the case may be, which is still part of live acquisition. Acquiring acquisition, sorry, not acquisition. Acquisition. Okay. Acquiring non-volatile data using Windows Forensic Workstation. To acquire forensic image of a hard disk during dead acquisition, remove the hard drive, connect it to a forensic workstation, enable write blocker, and run a forensic imaging tool. An example, access data, FTK imager, and other of its companion. Okay, is to image that you have the ESOS disk cloner, Acronis disk cloner. There's so many of them. Plan for contingencies, hard disk data acquisition, and the imaging tools. Investigators must create at least 2 images. Anything can happen, you you cannot say. In order to preserve it. So while you are trying to work on one and get information out, the other backup is there. If anything happens to one backup, make sure you create another backup of that backup so that you can be able to get all the necessary information you need to get. So you have digital evidence, you have the X-ray forensics, and the pro discovery forensics. First copy of digital evidence comes in here, the X-ray forensics. The second copy of the digital evidence comes in with the pro discovery. Imaging tools. If you possess more than one imaging tool, such as Pro Discovery, Forensics, or Access Data FTK image, it is recommended to create the first image with one tool and the second image with the other tool. You get, because multiple creations could also have a way, it also has a way it impacts on the quality of the particular data, because you want to read from the source as much as possible. A plan for contingencies, also hardware acquisition. All of this is just to ensure that there is no downtime in running whatsoever you're running. Okay, so that's that. Validate data acquisition. Validating data acquisition involves calculating the hash value of the target media and comparing it with its forensics counterpart to ensure that the data is completely acquired. This has happened on several occasions. For example, I downloaded Windows 11 installation on the internet. It was saying 5.8 gigabytes, right? By the time I finished copying, it was reading 5.6 something. At the time I checked it, there was an error along the line. That alone, it has been affected for whatever reason, either virus or error in copying. Or I think that day I was copying and then the cable just shook or something. That alone also could impact it. And that's one thing too. Also, in your forensic lab, you must ensure that everything is well tightened. There's no cable shaking or anything shaking, and all of that. Okay, utility algorithms that produce this hash value includes CRC32, which is cyclic redundance check, MD5, SHA1, SH. These are cryptographic principles that are put to use. When you read more about that, it's going to get better. We've been around this before. Validates data acquisition using the Windows validation method. Just open your PowerShell, just the way you open your command prompt, type in the commands, and then you're able to use that to retrieve the MD5 or the hash value of that particular file. For Linux also, you do the same thing. The commands are slightly different, but it's something you can easily do from there. Okay, this summarizes this. Okay, defeating anti-forensic techniques. From here on, it's just, understanding those environments, understanding the data deletion and recycle bin and all of that. Okay, so one, understanding anti-forensic techniques and its anti-forensics and its techniques. We'll still discuss about anti-forensics counter measures. What is the goal of anti-forensics? So that you won't be able to carry out forensics, basically. So it's to interrupt and prevent information collection, make it difficult for investigators' task of finding evidence, hide traces, which is mapping directly to your clearing of tracks in your ethical hacking essentials, compromise the accuracy of a forensic report or testimony, delete evidences, and that an anti-forensic tools has been run. That's the essence of all of that. What are the techniques? Data and file deletion, password protection, you can password it. That's why your ransomware will ransom. After ransoming, you go away with the file or with the key. Stenography, I think someone explained that yesterday. Hiding data in pictures, basically. Data hiding in file system structure, trail of obfuscation, artifact wiping, encryption. That's what ransomware uses. Overwriting data and metadata, program packer, minimizing footprints, exploiting forensic tools bug. This one is crazy. I think thanks to Timmy yesterday, mentioned it again during the class. Nessus. Nessus. A, a network penetration testing tool and scanning tools got attacked and it was hacked. You know what that means? So imagine that you can do that with forensic tools also. Attackers have gotten access to forensic tools and through the bugs that they have, detecting forensic tools activities, and that's why beyond the tools, you must know how to manually play around with some of those things. Very important. Anti-forensic techniques, data and file deletion. When a file is deleted from the hard disk, the pointer to the file gets deleted also, but the content of the file remains on that disk. We've said this. I mentioned this also. Data recovery tools. You have autopsy, recover my files. Exactly. This was the name I was trying to remember. We use this a lot to recover pictures and all of that. But its strength is not as much as autopsy. In images, you will see down here, you will see so many things. What happens when file is deleted in Windows? File file system, we've mentioned this. The OS replaced the first letter of the deleted file names with the exabyte code, E5H. E5H is a special tag that indicates the file has been deleted. The corresponding clusters of that file is, in fact, is marked as unused. Remember the unused that is taking us back. Let me even check that again, because we had it running. Exactly, it's still running. Oh, you can see this. It is still running. And then here now, this explains all the story I'm explaining since, right? You see offer recovery to lost and found, right? That's what it's doing.
I can't see your screen, sir.
Oh, wait, what can you see? Sorry.
You can see your screen, sir.
I'm talking to myself. Can you see it?
Sir, I can see it now.
Yeah, this guy is still at 96% because the disk is large, and possibly because there are a lot of orphan files. Files we no get papa, we no get mama. You see it, ba? Orphan recovery to lost and found. You see that? 29 rephrase record. Oh. Please, who is seeing my screen there? Is anybody seeing my screen?
Yes, sir, I can see your screen.
Yeah, I can
Yes,
see your
we are.
screen.
Yes, we
I
are.
can see your screen.
Okay. So we have 29 refresher records. You can see that. So if your screen is blank, just check your network or refresh your stuff. So you can see it. 29 refresh records and all of that. The part I was showing us earlier was the part of the unused file. You see it? Cleaning up 3 unused index entries, and in front of it, you're seeing the $sign, then the name of the file. So he's trying to recover that. That's what it literally is saying. And for stage 4, he's looking for bad clusters, right? If it is HDD that uses spinning disk, its process is slightly different. But I'm not sure if this disk is an HDD disk or an SSD disk. But I'm thinking it should be an SSD disk. So if it's an SSD disk, it's not going to see sectors, right? Right? It's going to see clusters. If it is an HDD, it's going to see sectors. So that's just that. When the user deletes files, bye in NTFS, OS just marks the file entry as unallocated, but does not delete the actual file content. We said this. And then the cluster allocated to the deleted files are marked as free, which you're seeing is as $, right? Like we saw earlier, and all of that. So all of this is coming up again. And then recycle bin. There are 2 major ways to delete from your system, right? When you delete and come and check, you will see a file that will be here, which is ampersand recycle bin. It's not here again. I think I've deleted it. But anytime you make a delete, you see the folder is it's an hidden folder here that you will see ampersand recycle bin. So you can shift delete from a system. Shift delete will remove it completely from that particular system. Delete will send it to recycle bin. So shift delete is just bypassing the recycle bin, basically. So if it was deleted and it was stored in, it was saved in the recycle bin, you can easily restore it back. That one is faster. But if it was deleted and deleted out of the operating system, you need a bit level recovery tool to be able to recover it back, into the system. And you need an external to do that, basically. Recycle bin in Windows, yeah, blah blah. Yeah, still the same whole thing. Recycle bin. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Process of restoring. You click restore from the recycle bin. It's going to restore it back. I know we have played around with a whole lot of this before, and then you can customize the size that you want the recycle bin to hold per time. You can set that. So if it's getting to a particular level, it should empty itself. Cloud operations have that in place where you send specify disk quotas. When you specify disk quotas, and you can see this is the file I was asking of the other time. I was trying to check the other time. Ampersand recycle.bin, then the value, the GUID, and then all the information inside are there. Most times, yes, viruses find their way into systems and try to hide in these particular files, So if you are looking for forensic files also, you can get them there to know how and what happened. You see them as the case is. Okay, so let me quickly go up with that. Good. File carving, very important. It's a technique to recover files and it's fragments of files. I've mentioned this before, but I'm putting it into context now. That is, you did an installation. While you were installing, you just see the thing copying, installing. You see C program files to drop some here, drop some in System32, drop some in registry. It drops them, everywhere. So file carving is a technique to recover all those fragments and gather them together, and you use that to recreate whatsoever that was deleted or what have you. In this technique, file identification and extraction is based on certain characteristics, such as file header or footer, rather than the file extension or metadata. A file header is a signature, which is known as a magic number, which is the constant numeric or text value that determines the file format. Example, a suspect may try to hide an image from being detected by investigator by changing the file extension. So you're changing from .jpg to .dll. And you will think, oh, it's a picture. You try to open it, it's not opening. You're like, let me just delete it, Jerry. Meanwhile, that thing is carrying information. However, changing the file extension does not change the file header. And that analysis will tell you what that file is actually. Antiviruses and different techniques for detection utilize, all of that, basically. So that's that. File carving on Windows. Windows tracks its files and folders on a hard disk using the pointers and tells the system where the file begins and where it ends, basically. So data recovery tools such as Autopsy and all what we have seen before can help to do that. You see this image. Let me zoom in a bit. Okay. Can you see the image? So if you can download it and practicalize it, on your systems at home, maybe on your flash drive. Don't go and format your hard drive. If you format your hard drive and it says Mr. Isaiah, my hard no deal. So you can format a flash drive and try to download ESOS Data Recovery Pro Wizard, to run all of that. This is how it comes out, and you'll be able to see all of this, firsthand. When you come for full class also, definitely you get more access to see some of these in real time. And it's not just limited to recover my files, Dix, Digger, Handy Recovery, Quick Recovery, Stellar Phonics. I love this Stellar Phonics. Stellar Phonics has NTFS and FAT, different types that carries out that stuff. I don't know if they still exist, but sure, they're very good. File carving in Linux, like someone asked earlier, the files deleted are stored in /bin/rm. rm means remove, right? The inode point to the file gets removed, but the file remains on the disk utility, and until it's overwritten by a new one, basically. So it's still similar to what Windows does, but different naming conventions. And definitely on Linux, we are not going to be using .exe. .exe, they work for Linux. We are looking at .tar, .bin, .gez or .gz, and so on and so forth. There's so many, that can happen there, but that doesn't affect general files. .jpg is .jpg, .mp3 is .mp3, basically. But when it comes to Linux, it's file systems, are different. SSD file carving, good. Look at it here. Let me move this and it's blocking it. You can see this. It's an example of carved files here. When you run that tool, it gives you that particular output. And you'll be able to see to tell you the location /image underscore Linux dt.dd. You know, .dd is another extension of a file which refers to it as an image, right? So whosoever that did this screenshot was probably running it through an image. In forensic class, we'll play around with a whole lot of this. But this is, like I said, it's still essentials. There are so many things to say that I wish to say, you know, but we'll just keep it simple now. You have a lot to go and play around with, you know. The forensically acquired image for trimming disabled SSD should be examined using what? Autopsy or R Studio, and so on and so forth. Recovering deleted partition. This is part of the process also. So there's difference between deleted files and deleted partition. A file can be deleted from partition 1, and you have to recover from partition 1. You get. Now, if you have 3 partitions, for example, that means in your mind, the file system at work, you know, is using a partitioning scheme that is possibly to be GPT, guided partition table, especially when you start seeing the healthy file, the EFS system, or what have you in place. You already know what that is telling you. So recovering deleted partitions using ESOS data. I've mentioned this again and again. These tools are available online. You can download and play around with them. And their processes are almost similar. Anti-forensic techniques, password protection, while conducting forensic investigation on suspect computers, assessing password protected resources is one of the challenges faced by investigator. Okay, so I wear many hats, and in the process of doing that, except by clearance, can you be allowed to say yes, you want to remove the password of a particular stored or protected stuff, right? You need to get clearance about it, right? If not, you will be seen to be tampering with what? Evidence. You know, but there are cases. There was a case that happened one time of an iPhone user, I think in US or UK. I can't remember the stories. I'm not so too good with you know, all those stories. But you know, the user the case I think was related to a murder case or something, and they needed to access the user's iPhone, right? I think it was the government or so. I can't remember the story. I'm just paraphrasing now. You can look it up on Google. But imagine a case, imagine a scenario whereby somebody has committed, you know, murder, right? And the evidence is resident on the iPhone or iCloud device. If they carry that iPhone or iCloud device to Apple, by data protection rights and the information protection, does not have right to open that thing for them. Do you get? That was exactly what happened. Apple denied them that no, we can't open it. Let the owner, let him be the one that open it. And the owner said no, he's not going to open it. You know, so and that's where the thing, you know, comes in, because you don't want to be seen as tampering with what? Evidence. But in some cases where, okay, yes, you have actually been permitted, you can go ahead and, you know, run cracking tools, hash crackers and all of that to circumvent the protection so that you can get the information. And also there are cases that it is clear that is an attacker. You get, after carrying out everything, that was one of his own way of clearing tracks. Lock his evidences in one place and password it. Say you people should go and be fighting with it. You know, and there are different password types. Clear text, that one you can see it, no encryption. Authenticated password. You must have learned of this in ethical hacking essentials. Okay, password cracking techniques. You know what all of this is. Dictionary brute force, rule-based. That's ethical hacking essentials. So you see now, for those asking the questions, hey, should I do EHE first before this? I would strongly recommend that, generally, CCT, if you're totally new, come in for your CCT. If you are a bit, you have been in the system, you have done one or two things, come in for your CEH, as the case is. If you are looking to travel to US, come in for your Security Plus, and so on and so forth, where we are going to dissect so many things, Like I said, there's so many things to say. There's so many things to say. That time is not going to allow us to do that. And there are so many other tools, Lovecrack, Upcrack, and Annabelle, yada yada, so many and so many and so many. Anti-forensic techniques, steganography. You've dealt with this in what do they call it? So let me just push forward a bit as I begin to round off. Some more information will be communicated to us later. So for those that are seeking to advance and do some other things, anti-forensic techniques, artifact wiping, you erase everything, methods, aimed at permanent deletion of particular files or entire file system. Artifact wiping, disk wiping involves erasing data from the disk by deleting its links to the memory blocks. You have separated them, you have divorced them completely. File wiping utilities deletes individual files and file tables entries from the operating systems, as I've seen, prior to this time. You have disk degaussing. Yeah, you might have seen this in some ways in movies, especially movies that has to do with terrorists. Terrorists want to come and bomb a particular location, blah, blah, blah. And then you see all of the workers running up and down. They will carry all the disk, and then there's a big magnet somewhere for HDD back then. But nowadays it's SSD. So there are newer methods of doing that. It is electrically and electronically erasable. So it's totally different from this. But definitely, when those disks get closer to a magnetic field, it wipes everything that is in there. For some of us that were in those days, when you use those cassettes that you used to play, or is it VHS? If you want to destroy a cassette or VHS back in the day, just go and put it beside magnets. If you want to play that, it will not be clear again. So it's still the same process. And then you have the NIST. The NIST is a framework and a body that is in charge of all of this. They recommend varieties of method to accomplish the physical destruction of digital media. Intruders use this degaussing and destruction techniques to make the evidentiary data unavailable to forensic investigators. If they have done that to the disk, sorry, chances of recovering anything meaningful or anything meaningful as part of the investigation. So the disk recovery might just be one part of the whole investigation. There are still maybe 99 other methods or 99 other things, But imagine that the what will complete the evidence, of an investigation might be just that disk. And an attacker, after stealing the information, has done this to it. So that is that. Okay, you have the data, you have the metadata. Investigators use metadata to create a timeline of the perpetrator's action by arranging all the computer timestamps in a sequence. Although attackers can use tools to wipe contents of media, the action itself might draw the attention of investigators. This reminded me of when I was trying to do practice, back in the days when students were caught on campus and they were denying that they were not doing some stuff on their system. They were not visiting adult sites, on their system. And lo and behold, I was called to come and be the village, the village forensic expert. The knowledge I have now, if I had it there no more, I would not deal with them well, because I would have gotten more information. But what I just did was just to go to history of the computer back then, no, 2006 or so. Just press Control H and history showed that yes, this person was here. So the person was smart enough. He deleted history. Was he on Internet Explorer? And he did not delete on Opera. Do you get? So it was the history on the Opera that brought him up. And all of a sudden, I became the talk of the town. I became the king. Say yes, our forensic analyst. They don't know say that time, but I don't know anything. But it's something that is important. Just put yourself out there, try, and it will encourage you to keep learning and keep growing. I think I will be drawing the curtain from here. Are there any questions so far? I know we want more, we want to hear more of this sincerely, and I really want to continue myself, but I've already taken close to an hour of our time. And I know definitely for those that are going to come into class, definitely you're going to get more on this. Are there questions for me before I hand over to Mr. Samuel?
All right. Do we have any question? Are there questions from anyone? Okay. Going. All right. It's gone. Taza, I don't know if you have any last few things to say.
Nothing really much to say. I have so much to say, but when they come to class, we'll continue our talk.
Whatever it gives to security, it was it gives back to you. Every day is for the thief, or one day is for the owner. That talks about that the thief is 99 times smarter than the owner. That's what it means. One, you must need to think like one.